Got your headphones on? Did you figure it out?
Yeah, I think the weed's kicking in now.
All right. So we got a full house today at the Shit Shack in Beverly Hills. That's what we call this place, by the way.
The Shit Shack?
Yeah, they don't really like it, but it doesn't matter.
It's
we only got
ironic.
one suit in the room who's kind enough to join us despite the scheduling snafu. So this is the Valley Boys, episode 9 or 10. 9? Doesn't matter. Let's get this shit over with. Join with me, as always, unfortunately, is Brandon.
Hello, Dave.
What are you now? You've been promoted to my assistant because... Or no, sorry, you've been promoted to sidekick because I was gone all week. I didn't have to see you. Didn't have to listen to any of your talking holes. So,
Well, yeah, if I'm not around to fuck up, then I still win by default, so that's fine with me.
well, that's how it goes. We also got a couple guests with us. We got animal wrangler, screenwriter, snake handler. That's not a euphemism. Steve Lewis.
It's also a euphemism.
And of course, we got Jimmy Dore, a man who needs no introduction.
Thank you very much.
Jimmy, Steve, thank you for coming. And sorry
Thank
about
you,
Brandon.
gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
All right, let's jump right into this. So, just a quick little story. On Sunday, I did something for the first time. I went to a church.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a Methodist church.
Welcome.
And the weirdest thing happened, right? I didn't burst into flames as soon as I walked in the door. But it wasn't a service. It was after the service. They were playing a video, an 18-minute movie about a transgender girl who's about 8 years old, like a boy transitioning to a girl, and sort of her story and her plight. And they're showing this to Christians who I'm willing to bet that besides us, everyone in there was over 70. All mostly white, like 99% white. It just seems like the opposite demographic you'd picture in your mind. It's like and they had a panel. They had a transgender person discussing what their plight was like, and it was great. But the thing that they brought up was how right now in South Dakota, they passed a bill that said if you're under 16, you cannot have gender reassignment surgery. So we on the Valley Boys, we're going to solve the issue right now. So how do we all feel about that anyway? If you're under 16 getting the gender reassignment surgery, is that, we for that? Are we against that? What's the deal here?
Well, I think as a true civil libertarian, I think the government should make that decision. What the fuck? The government is going to tell you what sex you have to be? That is crazy. That is not. There's nothing conservative about that.
About telling them that they cannot do that.
Yes, that's the dictatorship. That's the government going into your bedroom, into your underwear, into your sex, into your relationship between your patient and your doctor. It's the fucking violation of everything. It's the opposite of why we founded this goddamn country. So anybody who's for that, go fucking live in Saudi Arabia if they like that kind of shit.
I think that's the only logical response to that. Like, why the fuck is this a law? We have to decide for these kids what they are or aren't going to be, and it's, I don't know, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Especially a kid going through that. That's a tough thing, man. That's got to be crazy nuts tough, right? And then the government's going to somehow wag their finger at you while you're going through that? Fuck off.
It's unreal. Hopefully that's something they're talking about with their parents at that age. You know, I don't want 12-year-olds to come in and say, hey, maybe I'm thinking about being a girl because I like the pretty dresses or whatever it might fucking be. But it's not for the government to say.
Hey, I would have definitely switched and gotten a pussy if I could have when I was younger. And I'm not trans. I just love pussies. And I would love to have my own. I don't know. I don't need my dick. I don't know. I would rather have a pussy and some titties. I don't know. Is that I don't know if that's politically correct or whatever, but I definitely would love a nice set of titties and a vagina. Come on.
Just hit up the kitchen, and if you stick around long enough, you'll have some titties of your own.
But have you never thought about that? I mean, I remember Bill Hicks did a bit about that or something about he would just sit there and look at a mirror all day, like see what all the fuss is about.
I think it would be exhausting eventually. And it's the same thing with balls. Maybe not the same because I doubt girls want balls, but eventually you're sick of those.
Well, vaginas need a lot more cleaning and maintenance. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. But I got to tell you, it is worth it.
Just to have one. You got to
The
carry a
payoff
little
is
mirror
there.
with you everywhere you go, though, just to...
And I'm super about Bush. I don't know how this trend got started. Everybody's shaving off every last whisker on their vaginas, but I'm totally into bushes.
Bush is back.
I'm ready to vote for a Bush.
So we talking like full on like 1970s Bush?
Yes.
Really?
That's how far the other way I've gone. I like the big, like when you used to see the old Playboys.
Yeah.
Like I'm back there.
Yeah.
I'm back there with the fucking early 70s Bush. I love it. But the Bush you could almost see from behind. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
Bush. Yes! Fucking love it.
God, that's crazy. Well, you learned something new about Jimmy Dore today.
I'm not kidding, man.
He's a Bush advocate. Who would have thought?
I just, how is it sexy to have a vagina that looks like a child? It just never. The landing strip was as far as I could go. That was in the mid '80s, and then they just went nuts. That's how I look at it, anyway. I don't know how we got started talking about this,
Well, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
One thing leads to the other.
Yeah.
but that's why I used to have a horrible. I won't even do it. It's a horrible joke.
Oh, now you got to do it.
I had a goatee. And the reason why I got a goatee is because I had gained a lot of weight. I was like over 200 pounds, and I had gotten a thing. And so you get a goatee, so it makes it look like you have a chin, right? So I did that, but people would ask me, I'd say, no, it's because I'm in show business, and you got to suck a lot of dick, so I figured I'd make my mouth look like a pussy.
Well, you're not wrong.
I know.
I mean, how do you think we got this studio?
You right? Little dick sucking?
Like, well, Brandon,
With
you
his
know.
face, with his mouth pussy?
Yeah, that giant. That's the '70s Bush that you were
Yeah, and that's
talking
it.
about, right?
There
that
it is,
big
baby.
beard.
I don't say what you want. It's a little bit of a turn on.
Yeah, fully equipped for mustache ride. Just as more of a cushion than a beard, really.
Ah.
Yeah.
So gross.
What do you expect?
Well, it's just anything Brandon does to me is gross. Like, he always eats off my plate, and I'm just like, I'm going to puke if you keep doing that.
Does he use a fork or
Right,
just reach
right.
right over?
No, his hands.
Yeah.
Look at his hands, too.
Yeah, big old man hands in their hairy.
Imagine
too.
those greasy mitts on
Oh, he's
something
got
you're
clean nails.
Yeah,
Oh, you're so LA. Look how clean his nails are.
eating. Yeah, that's something you had to learn.
Did you get a manicure? That's how clean your nails look.
I'm due for one.
I have a broken nail, see, permanently. Got my finger smashed in a door, right? So I have that. It makes me look tough.
God,
And it's
that-
on my
that-
fuck you finger.
That's ironic to be a door and have your finger smashed by a door.
By a door. I know.
There's my Brandon joke for the day.
Oh, good.
Can
Got it
I
over
sh-
with.
Can I show? I just found this out the other day.
Yeah.
I ask Suri a lot of questions, and one of the questions I asked Suri was, "How do you spell door?" Right? And then just watch. It's kind of funny. Is it okay if I do
Yeah.
it?
Of course.
Hey Suri, how do you spell door?
One moment.
Uh-oh. Do I have bad connection here?
You might in the hills.
Oh, that's it.
There are two words pronounced like that. D-O-O-R.
Wow.
The second O.
Yeah.
D-O-O. Like she's coming.
Yeah,
She
that's
says
a-
it.
that's
And
a
they
weird one.
recorded two different O's. Like, why would they record two different O's? All right, give me an O. Oh, all right, now give me one like you're coming. Oh, yes, we're going to use both of those. Why would they do that? Anyway, I found that out. I discovered that it was quite a big day for me.
That is great. It's also you grew up here in the United States, right?
Correct.
The United States school system, and that's why you, as a grown man, need to use Siri to look up
That is
four-letter
correct.
words.
That is correct. I did go to Catholic school, and although they did beat us, we did get the 3 R's. And they called the 3 R's reading, writing, and arithmetic. So how is that?
Arithmetic.
That's the 3 R. When I grew up,
One
that's
R.
what they used to say. You remember that?
Yeah.
It's 2 R's and an A. What the fuck are you guys doing?
That's laughably ironic. I'm watching something right now about something that took place in a Catholic school system. The Keepers. I'm way behind. It's a couple years old, but everybody's on this true crime.
Right.
And, like, that's the big thing right now is serial killers.
Right.
Which is weird. Have you noticed how the trends, depending on the political and the cultural climate, change based on, well, art reflects that. So during the Bush years, there was all these movies about the apocalypse. There was your Cloverfields, etc. All these
Oh, yeah, right.
apocalyptic movies. It's the end of the world, and that spilled over into Obama because that's when they started making them and when it's coming out. Right now, it's all about small individual, like, these things are happening on a much smaller basis, but the boogeyman now is the next Ted Bundy. Even though it happened so long ago, everybody's afraid of this now. So an interesting theory that my daughter's mom, who happens to be Steven's sister,
Yeah.
came up with. The serial killer is dead because of DNA testing. You killed 3 people. You don't even get there. They find you. The mass shooter is the new serial killer.
Right.
Have you heard this before?
No.
I kind of think that's a valid statement
Because forensics has gotten so good, there won't be another serial killer. They'll catch him, and the only way you can kill mass people is to do it all at once.
right, because you can't.
Okay. That's a good theory. I like that.
I'm sure it's happened. There's probably serial killers out there that are so good you don't know there's a serial killer. But
You mean like Barack Obama, Donald Trump, George Bush? You mean like those kind of serial killers?
no, they're serial mass murderers.
That's
There's
it.
a difference.
You're right. Although sometimes they did it individually.
Right, and
And then they also tortured people too, like how they tortured Chelsea Manning, right? So that was torture, and they're probably doing it again. And isn't it amazing? All the people that they revealed the war crimes on are walking the earth and dancing with Ellen, and the people who told us about that are being tortured right now. And everybody says Donald Trump is a piece of shit. We'll be right back.
that's a Brandon talking point. He loves pointing that out to people, and he's not wrong.
Yeah.
And that was what we were discussing before we were rolling, where no matter what side of the right versus left, whatever you are, the new thing that people want is anti-corruption, anti-establishment.
Right.
We just told this story where there's a clip of Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis, and he's interviewing Hillary Clinton, and he says, "Okay, hang on, we got to air a commercial, and it's a political campaign for Donald Trump." Hilarious, right? But the commercial itself says, "I'm going to drain the swamp. I'm going to get rid of. There will be no lobby groups that have these politicians in their pockets. We're getting rid of all that. I'm Donald Trump. Vote for me." That's a fantastic message.
Yeah.
You know, it's too bad he didn't follow through on that.
Not even close to the truth.
But the message itself, that is what people
I love
wanted.
that.
And what's weird is
you can see. I mean, and Hillary Clinton was so in her corrupt bubble, her neoliberal corrupt bubble that she had been living in for 30 years, she didn't even realize that she should be saying that shit. She even realized that that's what you're supposed to say to get people off the couch to fucking vote for you. And she wouldn't even say it. What she would say, the only time she ever got excited on the campaign trail is when she was screaming about how we're not going to get health care. That was when she got animated. And it'll never come to pass. Wow. You're a little life in you now when you're denying people's shit. And that's why she fucking lost. It wasn't because of Russia, and it wasn't because of racism, and it wasn't because of Julian Assange. It was because the people had been fucked over for 40 years straight, and they got desperate enough to vote for a game show host.
She was telling all the wrong lies.
That's right.
Well, and that's the thing. If you go back and look at Hillary and Bill Clinton in the 90s, by today's standards, they would be considered on the right.
Because they are on the right.
Yeah.
or
Well,
Canadian standards, you don't even want to know how different the
Yes.
yeah,
the
well,
shift is up
well,
there.
yeah, by the Canadian standards, they might as well be, Richard Spencer at that point.
I mean, so people don't even realize that Bernie Sanders, any other part of the world, is not a radical. He's a centrist. Right? He's not advocating for workers to own the means of production. He's just advocating for social programs to make the brutalities of capitalism a little less hard for people. That's all he's doing. He's not really a revolutionary at all. Unless you think giving people education and healthcare needs a revolution. Which it does in this fucking country because they're so corrupt. And it started with Bill Clinton. And when he became president, his big idea was he didn't think after 8 years of Ronald Reagan and 4 years of George Bush, the Democratic Party was too far to the left for him. They needed to move right, which is exactly what he did. And he got in bed with the Koch brothers, which was on the Democratic Leadership Council. He got in bed with Wall Street, Big Pharma, and the military-industrial complex and private prisons. What's the difference? So the lesser of two evil. See, this is a point Thomas Frank makes in Listen Liberal. When you voted for when you voted for Bill Clinton over George Bush, you got the worse evil because George Bush couldn't pass NAFTA. It took a Democrat to come in and to give cover to the blue dog fucking Democrats to vote for this corporatist piece of shit. They couldn't pass it under George Bush #1. And so he was actually the lesser of two evils. Bill Clinton deregulated Wall Street, the Telecommunications Act, At the same time, he was gutting welfare and exploding the prison population. If Bob Dole tried to do that shit, they wouldn't have let him do it. But because Bill Clinton did it and he put his pretty fucking Democrat face on it, it got done, no problem. And he was just about to privatize Social Security. He had a secret deal with Newt Gingrich to privatize Social Security, and then Monica Lewinsky happened. So that blowjob literally saved Social Security.
Well, thank you, Monica Lewinsky.
And that's the point of my show, and that's the thing I think, the people on the left and right can agree about a lot of things, and the thing we can agree about is we're done fucking worshiping at the altar of capitalism and corporations. Capitalism is not a religion. If you're going to do something that takes millions of jobs away from people, you should pay a tax those motherfuckers who are going to make a profit off that to help your people who just lost their jobs. That's how this just makes sense. Anyway, I'll stop talking.
No, that's perfect. That's exactly right. And the weird thing about Bernie Sanders is he's, like you said, these aren't radical ideas. These aren't new ideas at all. And in fact, they have you seen his plan on how he's going to pay for healthcare and how he's going to pay for everything? It's not even that crazy.
It saves money.
Right. And it was what, I hate to quote the podcast master, but Brandon thinks everything comes down to pro wrestling.
Yeah, it does.
I think everything comes down to Joe Rogan. He said it best. We have money for bombs. We have money for school. And how is that incorrect? Have you seen the nuclear development budget that they have?
Yes.
It's going up and up and up. And this is nuclear development. This isn't...
So can I just break it real quick? Because I'll forget, because I smoked pot before the show. So it would take, they estimate it would take $20 billion to end homelessness.
Yeah,
to end it.
Annually.
Yeah. They're spending $18 billion on a Space Force annually. They just decided to do that this year. They could end homelessness like that, or we could put $18 billion into a Space Force. What the fuck kind of a government? So what do you call a system that takes the richest country in the world that the face of the world has ever seen, the United States, and it renders half their population poor or low income and 80% of the people living paycheck to paycheck and 30 million of them with no health care? You call that a failed fucking system? And it's time to start over. And Bernie Sanders is not a revolutionary. So if you're looking for a real revolutionary, it's not him. He's just the guy that can maybe get into government, while the real revolutionaries are going to have to get in the street, put on the yellow vest, and shut shit down, or we ain't never going to get a fucking decent country. We're going to have a third world country, which is where we're almost at anyway.
That's exactly. As a foreigner, I come in here and I look at how everything's run. You always kind of hear about it. In Canada, people don't... It's a friendly rivalry. But Canadians don't like Americans. It's a friendly rival. It's a friendly thing. But it's baffling to me how things are run here. It's like you kind of know about it, but once you're living in this shit, once you're paying taxes and you're seeing how it's being spent, it's nothing but a head scratcher. It's truly baffling to me how people put like the Space Force. They're all for it. Why? Because someone told them that it's a good idea.
So, and the funny thing about that is, like, if there was any more proof that you needed that the Democrats were completely full of shit, it's the fact that they passed all this military budget, $131 billion, during the time that they're actively impeaching Trump. But they had no problem passing this through Congress while telling you that the guy that they just gave $131 billion to go ahead and bomb the shit out of more people, that he's a bad guy and can't be trusted with those bombs.
That's exactly right. So you're picking up that they have a contradictory message, the Democrats, and maybe that's why they're the minority party in government.
Well, I might be a hick from the sticks in Iowa, and we might not be able to figure out elections or much else. But, I know bullshit when I see it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, that's what, we were talking about before. Nancy Pelosi does the theatrics where she rips up the piece of paper, but what she didn't rip up was the defense budget. How is this guy supposed to be doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin, but you're going to give him an extra $131 billion to go bomb anybody he feels like? Well, that would be at the behest of Putin, wouldn't that? Because if he's doing it at his guidance, which is what they've been telling us all the time, and then why would you expand his spying powers? Why would you renew the Patriot Act? Why wouldn't you be trying to take some of that shit away from this guy who you say is a fucking traitor to our own country? It's because that they don't think that. It's because they all agree with his agenda. As they were impeaching him, Nancy Pelosi was giving him a trade deal he can campaign on with NAFTA 2.0. They passed his budget. They fast-tracked his judges. They expanded his spying power. What the fuck? They gave him money for his fucking border wall. It is one-party rule. And then they both got up and applauded Juan Guaido, the CIA puppet in Venezuela. So it is one-party rule, which is why Trump got elected, because he was an outsider. But now he's not this time.
Yeah, and that was the bigger point you were trying to make with Trump getting elected. The one good thing that came out of that is that we got to see that it's not just the Republicans, it's the Democrats that are willing to do it. And why would they fucking change anything if they're going to get rich off of?
That's exactly right.
They're getting rich.
That's exactly right. There's a big money game happening, and they're all part of it. You know, from Debbie Wasserman Schultz to Rachel Maddow to Jake Tapper to the guys that they're creating that app for Buttigieg. They're all part of it.
Shadow.
Yeah, Shadow, yeah.
If I'm making money, I can't be wrong.
That's right. They're all one big gangbang. They're all shoveling money to each other, consultant fees, and it all comes from a handful of billionaires that run fucking everything.
Yeah, and I think that's where guys like me and Dave and you like come together. I'm definitely more conservative than you guys, but that's the point where people come together and actually are willing to work across the aisle. Is let's get the money out of politics. Let's get the lobby groups out of Washington. Like,
Steven too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk to...
Yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
good. No,
fuck
I'm
Steve.
better off.
I also smoked pot before this podcast. So.
No, you know, I don't have a problem with honest disagreements. I have a problem with a guy who's paid to have an opinion and then fucking, you know, pisses on me and tells me it's raining.
Yeah.
That's the problem that's happening in this country right now. And I think, well, the Princeton study proved it, that there's no correlation between what the bottom 80% of wage earners, what they want expressed in legislation and what actually ends up in legislation. There's zero correlation. It's only with the upper 10%. If 20% of them want something, 20% of the time it gets passed. If 50% of the upper 10% want something, 50% it gets. So there's a direct correlation, but now not with us. We don't actually have a representative democracy. They stole our democracy from us a long fucking time ago.
But that's still a marketing point. That's still that in itself is the new plan. Donald Trump found his way in.
That's right.
And Tom Steyer, he's found his way in. He's pandering to exactly what you're saying. He's like, I'm the guy that's going to do that. And you'll always have people that say, I'm the one who's championing this exact thing that everybody says that they want when they're all full of shit. His policies, I can't disagree with, but I can't get around the fact that he's a fucking billionaire. I understand that he's donated half of his money. He's given away half of his money as he's made it. Good for him. I still don't fucking trust him because he doesn't know the difference between making $30,000 a year and $40,000 a year,
or $11,000.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And $11,000 in California is homelessness in Iowa.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what it's like to have his blood pressure medicine, or worry about where he's going to get his insulin, or how can I get an EpiPen for my kid. He doesn't know. He doesn't have any of those things. He he almost has the luxury of worrying about climate change. I saw somebody tweet out the other day, they said the Democrats' main concern is health care. And my 12-year-old son was like, oh, my God, I'm going to have a heart attack. They don't care about climate change. And someone says, well, it's a good thing your kid had a heart attack because he has health care. And he can have somebody. He has the luxury of worrying about climate change because he has health care. If I don't, and I have a heart attack, I'm fucking dead.
Right.
First things first. I can't protest the climate
if you're dead.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
The whole point, if you want a climate, is so you can live in it.
But that's so weird because in Canada doesn't even rank in the top 5 of best countries to live in. It's all the Nordic countries. Their government's designed to look after the people and give the best lives possible to its people. Yeah, I'm sure there's corruption
Everywhere,
at some point, but in America, it's not. You, me, everybody. The owner of this house, they're not even in the bracket that these people are looking after. And it's funny. I hate to quote such a Hillary Duff type punk band, but Green Day had the perfect lyric for that in the song Holiday. It was another protester.
You have that tattooed on your leg, right? Or
yeah, exactly. It's on my butt, but yeah. Everybody's seen it in Beverly Hills. It's another protester has crossed the line to find the monies on the other side. And it's funny because that works no matter what your fucking beliefs are. And that came out during a time when, in 2004, it's off American Idiot, where everybody was very vocal about Bush, but it seems like they channeled it differently.
Yeah.
Like with Donald Trump, you're creating... I hate Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I built my whole Twitter following on finding a different way to say Donald Trump sucks for a solid year and a half. And I backed off on it when slightly after, not right away, but a very prominent comedian told me, stop doing that because it's not going to translate into anything. It's not going to translate into ticket sales. They're going to come and they're going to expect to hear Donald Trump jokes and you're talking about farting. Knock it off. And so I did. I sort of. I at least try to be funny about it. And that's me being shitty. And that's everybody is being shitty about this. Yes, it's corruption and it's awful. And what the fuck are we supposed to do? But you can't go after people and attack them for their beliefs. That's not going to change anybody's mind. If I want to change Brandon's mind on the Electoral College, for example, Brandon was all for it.
How can you be for something you have no idea how it works?
Well, that's what it came down to. Brandon thought it was 1-to-1, which to him makes sense. I believe one American passport, one vote, primaries and general election. But Brandon said, okay, I understand how the theory behind the Electoral College, where if the theory. And then I showed him some numbers where somebody in North Dakota has 3 times the say as somebody in Southern California.
Right.
Yeah, that's not
not only that, but not only the Electoral College, but the Senate. There are lots of states that have 1 congressperson, but 2 senators.
Right, and regardless of population, that's just
crazy. So you're giving representation to landmass, not to people.
Exactly, and I have a weird theory on that. So in Canada, we have the parliament system, where every neighborhood is fucking represented. It's okay, is what it is.
It's better than this.
Okay, right. I mean. America will never adapt that because it came from the British. America, as an outsider observing, is very anti-British policy. They're okay with England. They're okay with all that. But they don't adopt any policies from them.
I don't know what happened.
D-O-O. But that's what I think it is.
I just can't... I also am not a fan of Donald Trump, to say the least, right? The joke I do in my act is my brother always says to me, why don't you do more Trump jokes? Why don't you do more Trump jokes? I go, because I feel like I did those in the 90s. And then they wouldn't stop giving him a TV show until he became fucking president. So I'd rather make fun of those pieces of shit who propped this guy up and created such a corrupt society and such a desperate electorate that this guy could happen. Corruption did not start on January 20th, 2017. It fucking started a lot longer ago. In my lifetime, I would say when Ronald Reagan got elected president. And then we gutted out all our social services programs, and that's when the homeless population exploded, and we did a military buildup. And so, people were upset that Trump gave a medal to Rush Limbaugh, right? Oh, he's such a divider and a race hater and all those things. I'm with you. But, the guy who gives out those medals is a war criminal. Not just Donald Trump, but Barack Obama was a war criminal, George Bush, Bill Clinton, every fucking president using the Nuremberg standards has been a war criminal since World War II, and that's provable. And so this idea that, again, Trump is some special kind of corruption, that's bullshit. Do you know why it took them so long to impeach him? It took so long because they had to wait to find a crime that they weren't complicit with him in.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're not gonna impeach him for fucking killing Soleimani, which is illegal, an international war crime. It goes against the law that Jimmy Carter passed. They're not gonna do that because they both agree on war policy. They're both in the pocket of a military-industrial complex.
I'm agreeing with you, and it goes. It serves their own interests every time they do something like that, but.
And they want us angry at Trump. They want us to be angry at the symptom instead of the real problem.
Right. And that's another Tom Steyer talking point, which I know he's full of shit, but that's what he's saying, and he's absolutely right. Or it's something I personally can agree with, but I know I'm being marketed to, which is hilarious. Don't market to me. I can't fucking vote.
So question.
Because I'm not American, not because I did something.
Yeah, well, fair enough. No, but so one of the knocking points on Trump is he's a billionaire. Like Steyer and Bloomberg can't figure out the difference between $30,000, $300. Doesn't affect him in his world. So that's a knock from the Democrats on Trump, is he's billionaire and all that, and doesn't represent the working people. Yet the Democrats have 2 of them that bought their way into the election.
Kidding, right?
Long after, people like Tulsi Gabbard.
What does that tell you, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. So but nobody's saying anything about them being in the race. It's like nobody's condemning it on the left.
They are on the debates if you ever listen to those, but.
Yeah, I watch the debates. They'll knock him a little bit, but nobody's calling for him to drop out. and not continue the run for president.
Bloomberg's polling at like 15%.
Right, because he doled
he
out
really?
like 100. He doled out like what, 100, $200 million of his
It's
own
true.
money
Every
in
radio ad
campaigning.
on the internet, you can look up anything on the internet, like, and there's Bloomberg's ad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People are dumb. Think about the average level of intelligence. Half of the world is under that.
yeah.
George
Yeah.
Carlin.
Yeah, exactly.
And, propaganda works. I mean, it really works. That's why they do it. That's why they spend the money. I mean, that's, look at Tulsi Gabbard, right? So here's a woman of color. She's currently serving as a major in the military in those bullshit illegal wars that they fucking started. She pipes up and says, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this anymore. You're a traitor! Fucking
Right.
traitor!
That's exactly it. And I was against Tulsi, I admit it, because I was sort of caught up in my own echo chamber of everyone saying how much she sucks. I did my own research outside of everything, and I said, I'm not saying I agree with everything that she, but she got a bad rep, and it's fucking weird how everyone calls her that. And it's like I did 1 minute of research to realize all that is bullshit.
Bullshit.
She is, again, what Trump is pretending. I'm not talking about policy.
That's
She's
right.
not build the wall, but she is what Trump is pretending to be.
When he said he was a non-interventionist, and she actually is. That's why they came at her so hard, because she's telling the truth about Syria, which she was, by the way, by the fourth OPCW whistleblower, proved her correct. There was no fucking gas attack by Assad on his own people. And by the way, when she went and met with Assad, first of all, she's on the Armed Services Committee and the Foreign Relations Committee, and she met with the opposition too. They always leave that part out because she's going there trying to find peace instead of going there trying to make war, and that's why they smear someone like that. But I think people are catching on, especially when her enemies are Hillary Clinton.
Right. As soon as Hillary Clinton says this person is a piece of shit, everybody's like, oh, she must be great.
She must be great.
Well, yeah, we talked about that last week too. She essentially accused an active member of the United States military of treason.
Yes, an active member.
Yeah.
She has to lead people. She's
Yeah.
a major.
Yeah.
And now her troops are going to think, well, the former First Lady and the Secretary of State said you're a traitor to our country.
Thank God it was Hillary. If it had to be anybody,
Yeah.
thankfully it was Hillary.
And
Yeah.
and I loved how Tulsi did not equivocate, you queen of warmongers. She came right. She didn't fucking beat around the bush. Or she went right at her. I loved it. I
Yeah.
love Tulsi.
What I didn't like about about what Tulsi did in the debates was she was going after the smaller contenders.
Lower
And-
tier candidates like Kamala.
Exactly, yes. Who, Kamala, that's, in our family, that's the, at least with,
She was very beloved.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is not what she appears to be.
And that's what I keep saying.
She's a prosecutor.
When you do your own
She's a
research,
cop.
right? But it's not.
a cop.
It's not that her policies, her actual policies contradict what she's putting out there.
Correct.
And I think that
she
the
didn't
next big
prosecute
thing,
the bankers.
exactly, and she keeps innocent people in prison.
In prison.
It took a federal court order to release a piece of So back in the day, some piece of shit got sent to prison.
Right.
Skinhead, Nazi, all that shit deserves to be in there philosophically, but he was in there for a crime he didn't commit, and they proved he didn't do it. And under her regime, and I understand that it's a whole office. It's not her specifically, but she explicitly said the buck stops with me.
That's right.
She's
does.
saying I'm tough on crime here in California, and she's also putting single mothers in prison who don't
For truancy.
right because their kids are not
Crazy.
going to school. Outside of that, this guy was sitting in prison, already exonerated for 2 years, and so he's trying to. He was finally let out on a federal order. Let that man out of prison.
Right.
The fuck is wrong with you? They let this guy out, and he's like, okay, he looked it up. You owe me $128 every day I was in there. And he said, money, please? Of course.
Right.
And they're like, no, we're not paying you. So he has to sue for that money, too. Like, give me a fucking break. If you're supposedly tough on crime, then you're tough on fucking crime. It's not about making someone pay the price.
Right.
And that's a weird thing about capital punishment. Like, slightly off topic with that. In Texas, they said that they did one poll said that they're okay with someone paying the price for the crime, even if they didn't do it, as long
Isn't
as
that weird?
someone
Yeah.
pays. That's so fucking weird.
That's weird.
But here we are with a for-profit prison system.
Right.
Of course they're going to think
Of course,
that.
they're going to find
And
somebody who's going to pay for that.
you want to talk about moving from Canada to the United States? That is number one. You look at the concept of a for-profit prison
For-profit.
system. I think that is the most bewildering thing I've ever heard in my fucking life.
So, just to get back to Kamala Harris and her incarceration policy. Now, I don't know if you know this, but She was ordered to let that guy out by a federal judge. Also, a judge had to order her to release prisoners who were ordered to be released because of overcrowding, and her office argued in court twice that the reason why we're not letting these prisoners out of our overcrowded prisons is because it would screw up our prison labor system.
Ooh, that's fucking
then,
dirty.
So finally, it makes the front page of the LA Times that this is what Kamala Harris's office is arguing, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know they were doing that. I didn't know that. You didn't know."
It's your fucking office, and you said the buck stops with me, and like.
Yeah, you're either incompetent or willfully ignorant at that point.
I gotta say,
right.
most of her policies I agree with. I totally agree with that.
But she's a shitty human is a problem.
Well, no, she's a hypocrite, which they all are. But this is where she stems from.
Right.
That's what I will say is right now the big topics are healthcare reform. These are taxes. These are always going to be things that people will talk about forever. Right now, a hot topic is immigration. In the future, and I'm talking as early as the next election, one of the biggest things is going to be a prison reform. Well, because people are fucking wise to that shit. The concept of for-profit prisons, it's been going on forever. But now people are aware of these miscarriages of justice. That's what they call it when someone goes to jail for something they didn't fucking do. And the way that the justice system is set up is supposed to be, it's from a philosophical standpoint, it's better for one.
It's better if we release 99 guilty to save the one innocent person.
Right. So one innocent person doesn't go to jail. Because what's fucking worse than that?
Right. The
And
state
why does it
imprisoning
keep happening? Exactly. And the fact that the state has like permission to kill somebody based on circumstantial evidence, like.
Right.
Well, just a quick background on this. So this girl
break it down.
from the AV, Amy, I'll just say Amy, she was convicted of murdering or conspiring to murder her then fiance when she was 16 years old and pregnant with his child. He was 21 or 22. He was murdered. She was convicted of conspiring to murder him and got life in prison because she pled not guilty. Everybody else, the actual murderer, the person who hired him, they're all out of prison already, and she's still in there rotting away. Based on 10 years after the fact, the actual murderer said, "Hey, if I rat on somebody else, will I get a lighter sentence?" And they said, "Probably not." And he's like, "Okay, so it was the girlfriend all along," and they fucking drug her in, and the goddamn media said this woman. This 16-year-old girl was the one who did it. Teen mom did it because, and this was actually entered in the court. This was entered as fucking evidence that she murdered someone when he was in the hospital about to die. She said, "You're not supposed to die. You have to buy me a car. You have to buy me a house."
That was the evidence?
That's evidence of fucking murder. Are you kidding me? Like in Canada, there's a famous case of David Milgaard. He was convicted of raping and murdering a nurse in the 70s, spent 17 years in jail. He was released, and what they did was they were like, "Oh, God, 17 years? Here's $17 million. You know, like they...
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
They offered him that, and he was like, cool. Because we don't incarcerate people. It's very hard to go to jail in Canada.
Right.
You have to
we're
be
jail
a
happy.
repeat.
I mean, we're jail happy here. I mean, we're the world's largest penal colony. We had 5% of the world's population. We have 25% of the world's incarcerated population. That's the kind of shit you call failed society.
A free fucking country?
Yeah, a free country. And we call ourselves a free country. And I went to the Freedom Forum in Oslo, which is bullshit, by the way. The Freedom Forum is not about freedom, or it's all about using the false. The shield of fighting for freedom to do neoliberal wars for natural resources. That's exactly what it is. And even in Norway, they're also corrupted. They're now making weapons in Norway, and it's just horrible, right? So I expose it like that over at the Oslo Freedom Forum. They're all fucking that Gary Kasparov and all those Thor Halvorsen and all. They're not. They don't care about human rights. They're the same people who are trying to overthrow Venezuela. Right? Those are the people. There's this neoliberal class, and of course they're well-moneyed and they're well-funded and they're everywhere, right? Which is why right now, if you don't know, in the budget that Trump passed last year, right before everybody went home for the break, they put in there, they snuck in this omnibus bill. Now we're going to spend billions of dollars to help find natural gas and drill for it off the coast of Cyprus, Greece, and Israel. We're gonna and we're gonna devote what? Military resources there. Why? Because Turkey doesn't want us to keep doing that. They want to, and they're aligned with Russia, which is another reason why we're in Syria, because Qatar wants to have a pipeline go through, and Saudi Arabia wants to have a pipeline go through Syria. It's just the same old fucking game. And Tulsi Gabbard got wise to it, and that's why people are smearing her left or right, and it's all over the place, and the media is complicit because they're funded by the military-industrial complex. And you don't get on... You know, I was at a conference with quote-unquote establishment journalists, right? And they were saying, you know, Jimmy, I've heard what you'd say about war, and have you ever been in an editorial meeting? Like I'm naive as to what goes on in their editorial meetings. And I said, no, you know why I've never been in one of those editorial meetings? Is because guys like me don't make it into your editorial meetings because we get weeded out early on in life. Whereas you have been groomed to be in that editorial meeting since you're in fucking kindergarten and you don't even realize it.
Fucking right. 100%.
Let's go knock on doors after that.
Yeah.
Well, you know who's coming on next week? Hopefully, if his management clears it. His management probably says no, but his kid says yes. His Noodles from The Offspring. I don't know if you know this about him. He's a hardcore socialist and just one of the funniest and best dudes ever, but nobody really knows it. You know, he just plays guitar in one of the world's biggest punk bands, and he once, I told him, the studio's in Beverly Hills. He's like, how socialist of you to be out there. I said, hey, why don't you come and we'll go canvassing. And he, like as a joke, because his running joke is he's running for president, Noodles for president. And I'm telling him your campaign speech is or campaign slogan is "Send Nudes 2020." But Tim Dillon, you know him?
Yeah, I know Tim.
He came here to Beverly Hills and he was doing that sarcastically, but he was pushing the Bernie agenda on people here, and it was fucking hilarious.
Really?
Like, oh, it's great. I'll send you the video. He's I
only got turned on to him through when I did Joe Rogan's show a couple weeks ago, and he played him doing Meghan McCain, and
oh yeah,
that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
He's one of the next big guys, like and it's because he's right. He doesn't give a fuck. That's what it takes.
Filter.
That's what it takes in comedy is you can't give a fuck.
I know.
And you know what Rogan did when I had to perform? I performed on a show with him, Theo Von and Friends. The and Friends was me and Rogan. And I had to fucking go on right after Rogan. Damn it. I was like, can I go first? And they're like, nope. So Rogan's up there.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Oh, exactly, yeah. But he was up there making fun of Hillary supporters and Trump supporters. And that's what you got to do. That's what Bill Burr said that. He's like, the trick is to piss off everyone from both sides.
Yeah.
Be like, can you believe this? This Trump guy, he makes me want to vote for a woman.
So that that's the kind of my angle is that the Democrats hate me more than the Republicans, right? Because
that's what I'm gathering, which is
you gotta
weird.
Clean up your own house first, baby. And the reason why we got Trump isn't because the Republicans are in bed with big business; it's because the Democrats decided to get in bed with big business, and we don't have an opposition party, and they're both owned by the military-industrial complex. That's why.
It's so hard to get out of our tribalistic mindsets. If we fucking hate Donald Trump, and a lot of us fucking do,
right?
Then the enemy of my enemy must be my friend, and so like we can't say
David Frum is not your friend.
It's so hard though to say that, to sit here and say back like, oh, Barack Obama did bad things. It's like, what?
Yeah.
How dare you?
How dare you say that about Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now to see the Democrats elevate people like John Bolton.
Yeah.
So I just threw this impeachment hearing. All of a sudden, he's the truth teller, and he's going to save democracy. John fucking Bolton.
Oh, yeah, we're toasting to Mitt Romney.
No, Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
The guy who's wiped out more fucking companies, communities, and jobs than anybody. It's fucking amazing.
Character is what he's got. A lot of stand-up.
Oh yeah, it's the toughest decision he ever had to make.
Oh, what a guy.
Yeah, that or have a cup of coffee. Those are two tough decisions.
He spells the name Matt pretty weird. Like Mitt, that's his name?
Oh, yeah, Mitt.
I feel like there's a lot of Mitts in Canada. Wouldn't there be?
Steven comes in with the save.
Yeah, it seems like there'd be a country packed with Mitts.
But on that point, though, you're not going to change... Everybody's fighting right now, and that's what they want.
That is exactly
from all sides
right.
is what they want.
You know who's not fighting? Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump when they pass the budget.
Right, exactly. But if you want to change somebody's mind, what's the best way to go about that? Now, working in television, I know that when I want to get my way, which is very simple, basic shit, we're talking about snacks in the kitchen.
Right.
You make it seem like it's their idea.
Yes.
And like that's common psychology 101. If you want something, make it seem like it's their idea. And if you disagree with someone politically, is the best way to get your point across to call them a fucking racist? Is everyone that votes for Donald Trump a fucking racist?
No.
Is shouting out that they're a racist gonna get your point across? No. What I do, and I get a lot of shit for this. So me and Joe Walsh, a couple years ago, had a huge flame war. Back and forth, everyone 5,000 retweets every time. And I hit dirty on him. I hit dirty about child support payments.
Oh,
Because that's what was reported.
that's public record, baby.
And but he told me straight up. He's like, "That's not fucking true." Privately though, he didn't humiliate me. He did it privately. That's not true. Here's the proof. And I fucking read it. I read through this. I'm like, oh, okay, this is not at all what they're saying. They're saying he fucked off on it. He did this. If that's the worst you got on somebody, then you're attacking the person and not the policy. And there's plenty of policy on Joe Walsh to attack, but he's willing to talk to you about it. That's the crazy thing about him.
Okay.
He's willing to fucking talk and debate. And I told him, come down to LA, let's go to a fucking comedy club and set up a stage and a little table and let's fucking talk shit. And he's like, that sounds like a hoot.
Well, it seems like Trump has helped him become more sane. I'll be honest.
Because it comes down to anti-corruption. I'm not saying Joe Walsh is 100% right on that, but what he's against here is the corruption of it. And Joe Walsh was very pro-Trump until when he was in Helsinki saying, I can't imagine that you interfered with our election. And he's like, yeah, you fucking did. That's what Joe Walsh said.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a marketing angle. Maybe not. But he's also, his marketing angle is anti-corruption, and I'm willing to talk to him about that. And so he's going to come on. Okay. Maybe you want to join us again in a couple weeks.
Sure.
He's willing. He wants to come on and promote his book. And
I'd like to come to a rich part of town and talk politics.
It's so funny. We before we started doing it here at the Shit Shack, they actually don't like it, and they have chalkboards and whatever all over. We write gross things on them, and they're always erased next time we come here. There's one suit here. That's why I call all these employees suits. There's one suit here that I trust 100%. He's a producer on Live PD. So he does television. He lives in Florida, though. Brandon Blackburn. That dude. Hilarious as fucking. You know what he did before this? CIA agent.
Oh.
Now, he's coming down, he said, towards the end of the month, beginning of March. It'd be cool if we got Joe Walsh and him together.
Yeah,
But-
there's a few combos here that could be interesting.
Yeah, I like that. I've interviewed John Kiriakou, who was the guy who exposed the CIA torture program, and they put him in prison for it.
yeah, I've seen
All right,
that.
the torturers don't go to prison. The guy who tells you they're torturing
right.
goes to prison. That's how it works.
But it's like that on all levels. It's not
Yes.
just that. It's
I know. And people don't realize. I mean, people have been manipulated into not liking Julian Assange, who told us that what the elites were doing to fuck us. He
Isn't that weird?
exposed how the elites are fucking us, how it's bipartisan, how they ganged up together to fucking smear Bernie Sanders, how they screwed the primary. He revealed all this shit. He revealed that Neera Tanden, who runs the Center for American Progress, who was a Hillary Clinton advisor, who runs the most well-moneyed think tank in Washington for Democrats, advocated stealing Libyan oil so we could fund more invasions. That's called a fucking warmongering fascist, man. And that's who's on the left. So now you understand why 100 million people don't vote every year. Now you understand, when Barack Obama flies into Flint, Michigan, takes a sip of water and leaves those people with fucking nothing, and then 8,000 people less vote for Hillary Clinton in Flint alone than did for Barack Obama, and she loses by 17,000 votes in the entire state. Now you know fucking why. Because the political class has turned their back on those people, and they got nobody to vote for. And that's what happens when you have corporations running our politics. That's when you have unlimited money. Money is speech. So really, if I go up to a politician and I give him $1,000 and I go, hey, can you pass this law? I'm just giving him speech. I'm just speeching him. I'm not
that's
bribing
bullshit.
him.
And,
Of course,
and
that's bribe.
that fucking person is protected under free speech. No.
Right. That's what they're saying.
No.
And so, what we need is public financing of elections. And they would go, how much would that cost? Whatever it costs, it's going to save us trillions and trillions of dollars, because then we're going to have an honest government that isn't corrupted by corporate cash. The only way out of this is public financing of elections.
100%. And that's what as much as Brandon and I disagree on everything, you want to fix America, you got to get rid of corruption, and it starts with the fucking elections.
Yes.
It starts with getting, no matter what side you're on, I don't care if you're a conservative, if you're a libtard, if you're a libertarian,
Right.
whatever you are, get rid of corporate financing for elections to serve their own fucking interests, and you're going to start seeing shit go the way of the middle class would want. And that's what will make America great again.
That will help. I also am an advocate of direct democracy, which is, they can somehow figure out I can't like a post twice on Facebook. Why can't I just vote online? Why can't we have issues and everybody gets their fucking code to go vote? You vote on the issue. We have direct democracy.
Because it's right. That's direct democracy, but
problem
it's a republic democracy right now where you
Right.
elect somebody who makes that decision for you.
I think we should have we should have a mixture of both those things, because the problem when you vote for a representative is it's like you're voting for an omnibus bill in itself, because this guy you might like one part of his agenda but not the other part, but I got to vote for the shitty part too. Like he's going to go give billions of dollars to Trump to go bomb, but he's going to give me health care, so I got to fucking make that Faustian bargain. Like that's the shitty part about this democracy, and we don't have like a parliamentary system where if you get 10% of the vote, you get 10% of the fucking seats.
Right.
You get 10%. So now we have where great swaths of the country aren't represented.
Exactly.
We don't live in a democracy.
100%.
This idea that they're saving democracy, and there is no fucking
And
democracy.
it doesn't matter what fucking party you vote for.
That's right.
the crazy part of it.
That is right.
Is it doesn't matter. We need Brandon. You put this best. So the GOP. Let's get real. Even though they're all voting, they're being cooperative with each other right now in terms of how they're voting on shit, and so are the Democrats. The GOP is split. So are the Democrats. What do we got on the right? We have conservatives.
We should
and
have
we have
maybe 4
nationalists.
parties. Maybe we should have 4 parties.
5.
18.
Because you got to remember 2 on each plus the libertarians. Libertarians are not something to ignore.
Right.
That's a big thing. And so in Canada, for example, we've got the Liberals and the PC, and it seems to rotate between the two. Keep in mind the PC, the Conservative Party of Canada, it's nothing like it is here. Our Prime Minister, we had a Conservative government for 12 years, like recently, before Trudeau, and he wanted to build an extra prison. That was the big fucking scandal. He wanted to buy a fighter jet. Everybody's like, what the fuck do you know?
Warmonger.
Yeah, right. He wanted to build another prison. Everybody's like, nope. So that's just for context on that. So
but Trudeau comes in and is not very much different.
he is exactly like Trump, but the opposite. He's very image obsessed.
Yes.
He's very he panders to whatever he thinks will get him the most amount of votes. You know
Right.
what's fucked up? I met that guy in 2003.
Really?
Yep, when I was the mascot at my university, I was Wesley Coyote. Like, I have no athletic ability, but my dad was able to say my son's center court in all the games. I wore a coyote costume, and he was there giving a speech, and I had to stand behind him. And then afterwards, I talked to him for a little bit. Gone. He was on autopilot the whole time.
Oh, really?
He was already fucking campaigning, is what I'm saying. Like, he already wanted to be prime minister, and I knew it was good. Everybody knew it was going to happen. Side note, you want to talk about smear campaigns? All this money spent on pointing out how shitty the other person is. In Canada, they had a smear campaign on him where the ad was put up by the Conservative Party. It was a round table of a bunch of old ladies, and they're like talking about Justin Trudeau. They're like, he's got a lot of good points. Remember, this is a smear campaign.
Negative ad.
And they're like, but I just think he's not ready yet. And then at the very end of it,
Form in 4 years.
at the very end of it, one of the ladies says, but he's got great hair, though. That's how we do shit. And America needs to adopt that. No more smear campaigns. If you're able to buy ads, talk about what the fuck you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And we all know it's bullshit.
Yeah.
We all know you're pandering, but enough with this person sucks. We get it. We all know it.
I know. That's why when I didn't watch the last debate. I just and I do a political show. I just couldn't fucking do it. I couldn't stomach it. And it just, I love what Andrew Yang says. He says, when we're talking about Trump, we're losing because people have real problems and they look for us to solve them. And if we don't solve their problems, they're not going to come out and fucking vote for us. Again, the biggest voting block is the people who don't vote, 100 million people. The next biggest voting block are independents. And then it's the Democrats and Republicans. So a quarter of the electorate is Republican, a quarter is Democrat. Then the biggest one is the people who don't vote.
Absolutely.
And then independents are 50%, twice as big as either of the party. But you don't hear them, and you don't hear certainly from the people who aren't voting.
Now that's what they call the silent majority.
Yes.
Now, every side claims to be that.
Yes.
The Republicans say they're the silent majority.
That's right.
No, they're not. I don't buy that because I feel Republicans get their ass out there and fucking vote. I believe it's Democrats. They're like, nah, fuck it. But who knows? So I looked into this. I tried to see.
I think it's a lot of this. We were sitting here both saying how both sides suck. And so what's the result then? Nothing. And I get a lot of shit for being an optimist and an idealist a lot with a lot of my family. And I think it's okay to want to say, like, we demand more from our candidates. We're going to vote for people and then try and hold them accountable. We just don't do that. We don't follow up. We like stuff on Facebook. We retweet things. We double tap on Instagram, and then we're like, yeah, that's it, though. We'll go to a march, but we're not getting arrested. Look at the people still getting arrested at protests. It's Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
She's been doing that for 45 years.
Could I just say this, that you made me think of a great point. Now, so I live in Hollywood. I have lots of Hollywood friends, and I'm on social media, right? So I'm on Twitter, and it just bothers me to see these people of privilege in Hollywood voter shame, which is what I call it. I saw one guy, the Hollywood guy, I won't name him. He's like, hey, I told a bellhop to vote today, make sure you vote. Like,
No.
how about you tell a politician to make sure you represent that bellhop? How about you make fucking 10 tweets going after the fucking politicians who don't represent that guy's interests? Why that guy has to work 3 fucking jobs and still doesn't have health care or retirement, and you guys are trying to take us. How about you fucking get on a person with power instead of voter shaming people who don't have any money or power or access to get out of this propaganda nightmare we're in. It sucks so bad. You see guys like Andy Richter doing that, right? These millionaires who've had fucking privilege foisted upon them, telling people you better vote blue no matter who. How about you tell a fucking politician you better represent those motherfuckers or we're gonna get Trump again?
Well, that's why I stopped doing that. I was the social justice where I had to stop myself from doing that. I fully admit that I was one of those people who I found a new way to say Trump sucks without having any solutions, there's no substance to it at all. I had an album out. I was getting sales. Whatever. That's how shit goes. But I don't do that anymore. But pardon me, to go back just a little bit to the silent majority. So I went down a rabbit hole trying to figure out who is the silent majority. And the only way to know that is if you have mandatory voting. And where do they have mandatory voting?
Australia.
And who do they vote for?
Right now, don't they have a conservative?
No, they have not had conservative, maybe by their stances.
By their stances.
And remember, conservative individual issues don't necessarily transcend over political party.
Right.
So they've had one conservative government since World War II.
Oh, really?
Since then, it's rotated between liberal, which is basically what we call Democrats,
right,
and labor, which is what we call socialism, which
right,
is the word means it's a marketing thing.
Right.
Socialism has such a bad rap because of things like Venezuela, but they don't look at the fact that it's such a corrupt government that no matter what the fuck you call it, it's going to be shitty regardless of what it's operated under. But anyways, their Labor Party is based on...
You know that Venezuela has twice as much oil as Saudi Arabia, right? So as soon as I found that out, I knew we had to bring their people some democracy. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I'm just saying in Australia, they vote towards the left, but they do have certain issues there. They're very against immigration,
right,
which here is that's a right-wing topic.
Right.
Now, my question is, if they brought mandatory voting, and we got to wrap this up a little bit soon. Do you have to be somewhere, Jimmy?
No.
Okay, Steven, you gotta
I'm
jet
all right,
off.
though. Yeah, it's not terrible.
Jet off to work. Anytime you need to go.
Yeah, I won't even say bye. It's okay.
Just Irish goodbye. Well, yeah, you're part of Irish 23andMe. See, I know all this shit because
don't
like
bring it up.
we're in the family.
Gross.
If people had to vote here, what would
Yeah,
it be?
right?
What would it be?
I
think
get
it would be
scared.
fucking anti. I think it would be the guys. It would be the same Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, definitely right.
Or Tulsi. I think if people fucking knew what they had to vote for, Brandon had an interesting idea.
Oh shit.
Who for president? Who for vice president?
Bernie for president, Tulsi for vice president.
I'm fall for it.
And the exact
Would that not win?
That would crush, and which is exactly why Bernie won't do it. Bernie's not going to pick her. He like I said, he's not a revolutionary, right? And so he's still he's not going to pick her. But it would be the smart choice because the vice president is supposed to be the attack dog. So Bernie doesn't want to go out and piss off voters, but the vice president can go out and say whatever the fuck they want. They're supposed to do that, right?
Funerals for aborted babies.
And so she's already great at it. She's already taken on Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Nancy Pelosi, and Hillary Clinton. She's fucking great at it, and she has the integrity and the gravitas. I mean, it would be and she appeals to people on the right,
exactly,
and the middle, and the left.
And that's what they need right now.
And she could
right?
debate Mike Pence.
But
on
she could
TV.
debate Mike Pence. Yes.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Plus, she's boots on the fucking ground.
Yeah.
She's got experience.
She's got it all. The whole
Some
package.
of her policies I don't like, but to reiterate, she got a bad rep. If you're one of those, if you're gonna come after me after this and say no, she's a Russian fucking puppet,
That's ridiculous.
I challenge you to do 5 minutes of research, and you'll see that that's fucking bullshit.
Such bull.
Yeah.
Such
And I said
started-
that to she who shan't be named.
Yeah.
And you know,
So you know what? I would go to comedy clubs and I would tell people this Russiagate thing is just a big distraction because the Democratic Party doesn't want you to know that they can't beat a game show host. That's how bad they are. That's how corrupt they are. And I brought on experts, William Binney, who was the top top NSA code breaker, and he told me that, Jimmy, if this happened, they would have the package. They would have the evidence. So when Cuban missiles were going to Cuba from Russia, JFK released the top secret photos of them because he wanted to show the country this is what's fucking going on. They've never released the evidence and if it happened, it exists. So the NSA never released the evidence that was a hack into the DNC server, which is William Binney debunked on my show. And so I would tell my friends when I go to comedy clubs, they didn't believe me. They're like, Jimmy, come on, because it's hard to believe. Everywhere you look, it's fucking Russia. Right? The whole Russia runs our country, right? And so you just can't get over it, right? And I'm like, well, let me predict what's going to be in the Mueller report. I'll tell you what's not going to be in there. That there was fucking a criminal conspiracy between Donald Trump and the Russians to do anything. That's not in there. And they're like, what? And of course, that's not in there.
Right.
And of course, that was the first conclusion of Robert Mueller.
hey,
So-
you did this in a comedy club?
So, no, I'm talking to comedians off stage.
Oh, okay. Because anytime I try to talk about politics, they're like, "Go back to farts."
No, you got to know how to do it, though. You got to act like you're dumber than them, and then you got to also act like you're the aggrieved. The way I start off,
Jim
talking about
Jeffries.
it-
That's what he does. He's
I
like,
start
"I'm
off-
dumber than everybody."
Yes, I say that. I got sick a few years ago, and I went bankrupt. Because I'm American, and. And I voted for Bernie Sanders because I wanted health care, but it turns out that's not why I voted for him. It's because I was manipulated by the Russians. I'm susceptible to memes, and so that's how I talk about it. Like I'm the victim. I'm the guy. I'm getting fucked over. And then I go, and now we have these billionaires saying we can't afford health care. Like Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, says we can't afford health care, but we can't afford $8 fucking cups of coffee. What is it about countries that give their people health care? They don't have to add pumpkin spice to their fucking coffee to make it taste good. Isn't that something? They make better coffee. So. This is how I talk about it. You go after the fucking powerful people. You make yourself the victim because we are.
That's fucking great advice. Thank you.
Because we are the victims. We are the victims of the 1%. I fucking went bankrupt. I got sick. I had health insurance. I had a job. I still fucking went bankrupt. I had to take $60,000 a loan out to pay my fucking bills. I mean, to me, that's going bankrupt. Right, I'd take a $60,000 loan out.
Yeah, 60 grand
It's
to pay
insane.
bills. And it's weird in Canada. Like, I hate to keep going back to this, but that's foreign to me. Like, anytime I've ever had to see a doctor, it was I walk in the door. I write down my number, and if I don't have my health card on me, I just write down my name. The doctor sees me. I get what I need, and I leave. That's it. And if you need surgery, the problem is you'll hear about this. People, and it's a marketing ploy on this end, where they say, well, if you look at Canada, it takes 3 weeks to get life-saving surgery. No, it doesn't. If it's mandatory, and you need it right away, you get it right away.
That's right.
But you will hear of very wealthy people will send their loved ones to America to get the surgery literally that day.
Right.
Or a little, you'll hear of in Tampa, for whatever reason, in Tampa they have some surgical clinic. They'll do it right then and there. You call them up, you get a flight from Winnipeg to Tampa, $98, get it done. Okay, but for everybody else,
Yes.
it's done for you. It's taken care of because the government isn't.
Well, talk about waiting lists. All right, now I have Blue Cross. I had the best. When I worked for the Young Turks, I had the best plan that you could purchase.
They give you health care with that?
Yeah. So I had the best plan that I could purchase, right? And whatever the Cadillac plan was, right? I paid extra for it. And I had to have a gallbladder taken out, right? If you ever had a gallbladder attack, they're fucking nuts, man. You think you're going to die.
Painful.
So I had 2 of them. And I thought I was going to die both times, right? I was convinced. And so I'm like, well, I got to get this. So I have to get it taken out now? Right, okay, I have to get it taken out. So you got to call a surgeon. You have to have a consultation, and then you have the surgery. I couldn't even get a consultation for 3 weeks. Not even get a consultation. And then I'd have to wait 2 more weeks just to get the surgery. So it's 5 weeks out. I have to wait to get my gallbladder out. And in the meantime, I'm afraid I'm going to have another attack.
Right.
The whole time. So what I had to do was go out of network, pay out of my own fucking pocket to hire another surgeon so I could get in 2 weeks instead of in 5 weeks. So I had to pay extra. And that's in the United States of America, where they say there's no waiting here.
I had a similar thing where I severed a tendon in my hand with an axe or a hatchet, and it took several weeks just to get the consultation, and then they're like, okay, yeah, we'll get you in for surgery in 2 weeks. And, we could do it sooner, but you're not going to be under anesthesia. Like, we'll just do local. So they'll just numb your arm. I'm like, fucking do that. Like,
Yeah.
I want to get it fixed. And while they're in there, I hear them talking like, it took too long, and the tendon recessed a little bit back up into his wrist over the course of the several weeks. It's like, well, that was your... Like, if we could have got this done 4 weeks ago, it would have been a hell of a lot easier
Again,
on me.
it all comes down to Joe Rogan. If we got money for bombs, we got money to fix our fucking hands. And you talk to these people, boots on the ground, and you say, so you're against the idea of socialism, which, by the way, we need to change that name to something else.
Yes.
Because it's got such a bad rep.
Right.
It needs to be called something else because we nick a lot of socialist policies. For example, paved roads. Did you enjoy driving? It was hard to find, but you had paved roads getting here, right, guys?
Yeah.
And, the public school system. You didn't have to pay $30,000 a year to put your kids through school. Thanks socialism for that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you
Hey.
talk to these people, where do you draw the line? They say, that's basic needs. That's like, but healthcare isn't?
Healthcare isn't a basic
Are you
need?
fucking kidding me? But the healthcare industry, and I'm not trying to put on tinfoil hat here, the healthcare industry from top to bottom is designed to squeeze every nickel out of the sick and dying. And they're the ones paying the pharmaceutical companies, everything. They're the ones paying for these political campaigns to keep it that way.
That's right.
And it feels good to be blessed with healthcare, right? Like, and that's kind of the way they look at it. Like, thank God, we have a good job in healthcare to pay for this. It's like, well, yeah, maybe, but like, in order to feel good about it, you have to know that other people don't have it. And it's
Right.
that sort of feeling. Everything to me
That's
always comes
fucked.
back
You're
down
right.
to that human nature where in order to know that we're good, like in order to know that
You have to
rain
see
sucks,
someone
we
else.
have to have sunshine. So in order to know that our healthcare is great and like thank God we were able to afford that surgery, you have to know that people can't. You have to see a bum on the street who's had a broken leg for 4 weeks and just, taped it. To know that, thank God, I can fix my son's snowboarding accident when we went to Mammoth Mountain on a
No fucking doubt.
6-week getaway, whatever.
Now, if you're exactly right, if I may go a little bit further, so if you want to fix the healthcare industry, it starts with regulating it, and that's when you say regulating in America. So in Canada, they're millionaires, but they're not billionaires. Okay, so there's limitations on how much money they can make.
Right.
Like, no, we know how much this costs to develop it. Fuck you. And Americans, thankfully, are allowed to buy medication from Canada, which is hilariously ironic because in Winnipeg, in the 90s, there was a major tech boom, and a lot of Argentinian immigrants came to Winnipeg in the 90s, and they started websites that sold medicine to Americans at a fraction of the cost because that's what it comes down to. you want to talk about Medicare for all? That's all well and good. That's great. Except it's not going to fucking work until you start regulating the medical industry. Until you start saying, hey, you can't be, we know how much this costs. And you're making a ridiculous fucking profit on this.
Well, this is how corrupt the government in the United States is, that they've actually bought the politicians to pass a law that says it's illegal for the government running Medicare to negotiate drug prices.
That's what I'm saying.
They've made it illegal to do that. Instead of making it mandatory that we do that, they've made it illegal. So that's called fascism. Whenever the government and a corporation gets together to work against their own people, that's fucking fascism, man. I don't know what else you got to call that, right? Isn't that what that is? Isn't that what Mussolini said? I don't know. You tell me, but that's a fucked up situation when they're passed. And then they pass laws that stopped Americans from going to Canada to buy fucking drugs at a cheaper price. What do you call that? That is your government screwing you on purpose for profit. That's this idea that, you know, injecting a profit into everything makes it better is just nuts, right? And you can just look at our healthcare system. We pay twice as much as the rest of the world for worse results.
And that's another interesting thing. So that young guy our age, Martin Shkreli.
Yeah.
Shkreli.
So he got thrown under the bus for that.
Yes, he did.
But rightfully so. But they all do that.
Yeah, we need a bigger bus.
That's how it exactly. That, like, he's just one guy that's always been happening, and for whatever reason, they're like, this guy did it with one specific drug. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, one of my favorite memes, and you can't quote memes when you're discussing politics, but it was a Breaking Bad in Canada, and he's like, "Oh, I have cancer. Oh no, what am I gonna do?" He goes to the doctor. Here it is. It's all free. All right. And it's weird. America can't afford that. We have the fucking money for it. We just decide to spend it.
You're so right. This idea our whole political life is based on scarcity in America, right? Somehow we don't have enough money, but we always have enough money for the shit we don't need, right? We have $18 billion. We don't have $20 billion to fix homelessness, but we have 18
Space
to spend
Force,
on a
nuclear
space
development.
force.
Yeah.
So since Trump has become president, the guy that they say is a traitor to our country working for Vladimir Putin, they have given him $131 extra billion per year, not just once, but every year for bombing people. So what could you do with that $131 billion? Well, $65 billion will give you, everybody goes to college for free. $25 billion will end fucking homelessness. And now you still got about $40 billion left over. I don't know. You can maybe do something else great with that, right? No, we don't get anything for that. We get nothing. So we could have fixed all those problems. Everybody could be going to college for free. Everybody could be getting, we could get rid of homelessness. We get nothing. You know what we get? We get bombs that blow up over that. That's it. Or another $1 trillion we got to modernize our nuclear arsenal. Well,
How fucked up is that? Modernize the nuclear. Like, think about that. Think about, like, the technology when it first came out. What they were capable of doing in the 40s.
Yeah.
Okay, you see that city on the map? Yeah. It's not there anymore. Yeah. And they've been developing it every single year since the 40s. Yeah. Every single year they've expanded that budget. Just this year they put another $12 billion. Yeah. An extra $12 billion compared to what they put on last year to develop nuclear technology. Are you fucking kidding me?
They have the money. So when someone says that we don't have the money in America, the government doesn't have the money to do something,
misallocated.
They're either full of shit or they're using a Texas math book, okay? I mean, it's so, and the war machine has really, that's why Tulsi's so important right now, because the war machine has so captured our media, right? Because they fund it, and people don't even realize that we could have the world we've always envisioned, and we could have it at a blink of an eye. And then nobody ever asks, how are you going to pay for that extra? You hear politicians, Democrats go and say, oh, the Bernie people just want free stuff, free stuff, that. No, we just want the money we're already spending on bombs to be put towards shit that people actually want it to be spent on.
What am I getting for free? Roads, you mentioned that. Public schools, okay. What else? War. We're getting a lot of free war.
Medicare we pay for.
Yeah.
Social Security we pay for.
Paid for, yeah.
Right? What else is this for? So, and education, for kindergarten through 12, we pay for in our fucking taxes. Everything's paid for. There's no free shit in America.
No.
Again, that's just another thing to make you seem like you're irresponsible and you just want. And we have this mentality in America that, we don't deserve a good life. You have to somehow and somehow rich people are automatically better people than we are. And that's another key to Bloomberg. They think, well, he has all this money. He's got to be smart. He's got to be better than we are. He's not better than we are. It's a fucking rigged system. And once you start making money, you find out very quickly that the system is set up to help you, not the fucking people who don't have money. There are so many ways to hide money and getting your money. It's nuts. Once you start making money, this shit, all these tricks, and it's like, and poor people are just going to work, getting their fucking paycheck, and they have no idea how much they're being fucked
Paying
over.
30% interest on their credit card.
Yes. Meanwhile, Mitt Romney pays a lower tax rate than his secretary.
Amazon paid zero.
Nothing.
How fucked is that? And it's the guys like Bernie Sanders are saying, wait,
Yeah.
if we tax these guys, he's also saying we got to tax people at $29,000 and above, which is bullshit. They need to figure out the line of poverty has to be different by every county.
Yeah.
Because in LA, $29,000 doesn't
Nothing.
mean shit.
Right.
In Davenport, Iowa, where I saw a pregnant stripper named Skunky cry, $29,000. You're the big pig.
Yeah.
But they need to figure, and that's what Kamala actually said
How
that.
pregnant.
She was barely showing, and but here's the thing. This was in 2002.
That's a heartbreaker.
Kinder times.
I was in. That's why I tweeted that about
Stripper's
Iowa,
not on the pill? Come on.
dude. And like one guy, I just heard these two Iowa dudes. One of them was probably Brandon. One of them was like, "Oh, she's got a bit of a gut," and the other guy said, "Nah, man, she's just pregnant." And then I was like, okay, he's just speculating. But I heard her screaming and crying on her cell phone, which it was a flip phone, and it still had a cracked screen. And she was like, "This is your baby." And her name was Skunky because she had a. You ever see that on some people that have that like tuft of white hair in their corner? She had that.
Like Tulsi.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Right. Yeah, it is what it is. She came out, and the piece of shit guy, I just happened to be in the bar. It was Iowa. That was where I was performing. And then after that, it was amateur strip night. And she comes out, and the announcer's like, "And here comes Skunky." And she's like, "No, my name is Cherry Candy." And he's like, "No, it is Skunky. Look at her." Like, he was a radio guy. You know how they are.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, uh-huh. Yeah. I had a fucking radio guy. Those guys are assholes. I had a radio guy interview me. It's just like anything. It's a mixed bag. I know some great radio people too, but
Not Dick Rivers. 5 episodes in a row now we brought him up. Sorry.
so
God.
so I was being introduced. I was just starting comedy. I was the host. I was the MC of the show. And it was in Schaumburg, Illinois, and they had a DJ host. Like, he was the whatever. He was going to go do his thing. And he goes, "All right, we're going to bring up to start the comedy show. You ready now? We always start with applause. What if we just started off with everybody flipping the guy off?" And so he brings me up to the room, flipping me off. I'm like, kind of a fucking way is that to start?
That's
the show?
weird. Do you have kids, Jimmy?
No, that's the thing. I regret it.
Well, it's not too late.
Well, not,
How's your wife?
she's not. She's over 40, and so she doesn't want to have a baby. But she did at a time. There was a time she did, and she twisted my arm hard, and we actually broke up because I just didn't feel ready. I didn't feel like I was making enough money yet, and things like that. This was like in 2002, right? This is even before my first special. So I was like, so and then when we got back together, we just didn't have kids. And but so I know it's caught taking all your money and everything.
It's the greatest thing. That little being.
Yeah, I know. See, I know. And I don't have that feeling. So that's an experience I'll never have. And I feel like I didn't live right all the way.
You never know, because you're a dude.
That is
Let's
true.
get real. Let's
That
get
is-
real. It can happen at any time.
That is true. I tried to talk to my wife like if I just be backstage with a fan, had a little sex act, you wouldn't leave me over something like that, right? If this one, I got out of love with her or anything, it was fucking.
I don't even know her name.
I don't even know what her name is.
What would your sister do to me
But
if I did that?
wait a minute.
Like a disembowelment of some sort.
So I'm like, well, maybe what if I just fucking knock somebody up? It's like, hey, honey, I come home. Like, hey, honey, I don't know if you're gonna. I got this woman's pregnant and it's mine. So we're gonna put an apartment above the garage, and she's gonna live here with our kid.
That's a sitcom, I think, waiting to happen.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't love her, but she is the mother of my kid, and now we get to have a kid.
Yeah.
I love you.
You can always adopt.
That's what.
Yeah.
Dude, you'd be top of the line for that, too.
Yeah,
Whatever,
maybe-
I don't mean to pressure you,
No,
but
it's a good-
also do it.
I do feel pressured.
Well, it's because I'm bullying you into it. You're
No,
missing
but-
out, buddy.
I do want to do it. I have 2 adopted siblings. So I came from a big family, 12 kids in my family. That's true.
No shit, 9. 9 in mine.
Ah!
Fist bump.
So my parents had 10, and then they adopted 2 more.
Wow.
So I got to have a little sister, which was nice. So I was.
Well, you're at the bottom?
So I was the youngest, right? Which has its advantages and disadvantages. I was my mom's favorite, but everybody else beat the shit out of me, right?
You're right.
And then I didn't get to have a little anything. And then my mom had a little sister for me, so that was nice. It was really nice.
That's awesome.
We got her when she was 6 months old, and it was great.
That's awesome.
And then she grew up to have triplets.
Wow.
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
There's just so much door out there.
There's
that
a lot
they
of
should know
door
how
out
to
there.
fucking spell it on Siri. That's the thing. It's going to change in Webster's this year to Dore
Yeah, I know.
because there's so many. I was 6 of 9, but the bottom 3 are all born in the same year. Set of twins and one other.
Oh no way!
Yeah.
Your parents were something.
Just nothing but fucking.
Not a lot of fucking. I heard my parents fucking one time. It grossed me out so hard. It was the worst. It was. Stop! Stop it!
And you said that as the youngest child?
No, I was just.
Oh, in
doing
your
this.
brain.
Stop! What the fuck?
Oh shit, we got a text from Brad and Blackbird. So we weren't supposed to record on time. They were like, hey, can we push the recording back to 1 o'clock? I was like, no. Like, we asked you January 22nd, the suit's here, right? At the shit shack. It's amazing I don't get in trouble for talking shit about these guys.
Well, I got here early because I had a thing.
Right, yeah, you did. That was perfect. But they were like, yeah, we double booked it looks like. And I was like, well, here's the email. Because you asked me, like, 3 weeks ago? If we could do it at noon.
Yeah.
On February 11th.
Right.
Yeah, sure. And then they're like, oh, well, go fuck yourself, Dave. And so I ratted everybody out. I texted Brandon Blackbird, the CIA guy. He's in Orlando, and he's like, I'll take care of it.
If there was ever a time to have somebody from the CIA on your side, like that's it.
I fucking love that dude, man.
Yeah.
He's the one who recruited me into this.
Well, what do you mean recruited you into this?
Into this studio.
Oh.
He contacted me. He's like, hey, why don't you talk to us about doing it? We're like, all right. And so we're going to roll ads eventually. But right now, we don't do it. We don't make
Okay.
any money doing this.
Okay.
It's just for the tits of it.
Yeah.
But they got 50 advertisers or whatever it is.
But this is only your 5th episode or something?
And 9.
This will be 9.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But what were you doing before this?
We're recording it in Reseda with 2 microphones in my backyard.
Okay, so it was already popular before you guys came here.
It was something, but it wasn't. It wasn't like crazy.
Really?
Once we
So
got
how
our
did you
biggest
get-
episode 2 weeks ago when we talked about Ari Schaefer.
Oh, I thought it's Ari Shaffer.
Schaeffer's, pardon me.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's Schaefer, but I thought it was
No,
Schaffer.
you're right. It's Schaefer. I
Okay.
just,
Hey, can I tell you something? When that happened, I texted him because I know Ari, and
Okay.
I I have affection for Ari. I think he's a nice guy, and I told him, I said, hey, I know it doesn't feel like this right now, Ari, but with all things like this, it's going to eventually help you. I go, you just got to keep that in mind. More people will know about you, and they'll know that you're not, whatever. And son of a bitch, there he was. Was it this Sunday or when was it? There's New York Times. He's being in an article where they're talking about comedy and the troll factor in comedy, and they compare him to Lenny Bruce, Anthony Jeselnik. They got and I'm like, and Sacha Baron Cohen, and I'm like, there it is.
Yeah,
You
terrible
got it.
company.
You got it. You're in that article. That's who you're comparing you to now. And
Right.
you're the picture. They're using his picture on the fucking article in New York Times. Exactly what I said would happen happened.
Well, what we discussed, and the reason we had 10 times viewership on episode 7 is because people were talking about it on the internet. They were like, they nailed it. I'm quoting the people here. We said he was kidding not that it was a good joke, not that it's something you should do, but he's fucking kidding. There are a ton of people saying the exact same thing, but they're not fucking kidding. And if he wasn't kidding, if he was very serious, he's like, I hate that guy. He raped a woman. He did it. They'd be like, okay. But the fact that he's fucking kidding, they're like, crucify him. And that's you want to talk about fucking free speech? So we'll get to that in 1 second. So Steven,
Yeah.
he's gotta go. We're keeping him from work.
I teach kindergartners.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He
After
brings-
school.
He brings animals. It's so funny. So our old studio used to be right beside where he does animal wrangling. Brings
Everything.
these crazy
mammals,
reptiles, and all you
yeah.
hear is them screaming. It's right
birds.
beside the jiu-jitsu place where Russell Peters goes and all those guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he would park his fucking Lamborghini in the no parking zone, and he'd be like, "What's that sound?" It's his parents.
Yeah. Just big ass birds, dangerous assholes.
When we get video, you got to come back on and bring your snakes.
I'll do that.
I don't want
I
that.
love
but
to do that.
they'll contract your company out to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll make it official.
Who drives a Lamborghini?
Russell Peters.
Oh, Russell Peters. Oh, yeah.
I think it was a Lambo.
Oh, he's popular.
Not me.
Yeah, I
Maybe it was
like,
a
who-
Porsche.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that guy sells out. Yeah, he's big.
Oh, he's massive and he's Canadian. And here's
Yeah.
the thing about him: cool as shit.
Very, very,
It's
very
fucking
nice
weird.
guy.
It's weird
It
how
was
people
weird.
at the top are always nice. It's people like they haven't quite broken out. They're the dicks.
He is very down. I was surprised too when I met him how down to earth he was. Like he was just like any other comic meeting on the road.
Exactly. And I've only performed with him at the Canada Day festivals
Oh, yeah.
that they have at the Comedy Store. Every Canada Day, they have all these great big time Canadian comedians plus me. and he's there, and he's just so fucking cool. So down to earth. So
That's how I would describe him.
he doesn't give a fuck. And when I see him on the street, like when I be out there smoking, I'm a chain smoker. I be out there and he's, oh, hey, buddy, what's going on? He's like, oh, what's that fucking parrot noise? He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't, nicest fucking dude. So I walk Steven out.
Okay.
You guys do the shit, and we're gonna do the Mr. Burns or Donald Trump.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
Do you have to be somewhere?
Well, I do have to. I have a 3:00 somewhere, but so how much longer?
15?
Sure.
Okay.
Cool.
Sure. Let me just.
All right. Do you want me to wait for you,
This
Dave?
guy's offering me a spot tonight. Let me.
No, go ahead now.
Okay.
I just smoke and bring back a drink.
Cool. Yeah, bring me one, man. Okay.
Okay. Let me smoke a little pot. So since we're sitting here, might as well
Yeah.
smoke a little pot.
Shit, yeah, might as well light up too. Blessed to be in California.
You know, that's the weird thing. Is like I forget when I get so used to smoking everywhere here in my car, especially.
Oh yeah.
And so I was working. This is 2 years ago, maybe 3 now. I was working Zanies in Pheasant Run, which is way out in the northwest suburb of Chicago, and I was stopped at a green light, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've
And so I got, and all of a sudden the cop pulled, I'm like, so I pull over into a White Castle, right? And and he's like, what are you doing? I go, I'm not from around here. I'm trying to figure out how to get to White Castle. I go, here when we got here. You know, I go, I'm not from around here. And he goes, do you use street drugs? And I go, what? He goes, do you use street drugs? He goes, what are street drugs? He goes, do you smoke cannabis? I go, what is cannabis? I was playing dumb all the way to the fucking hill, right? I go, what is cannabis? He goes, I'm smelling a strong smell of marijuana from your car. And I go, well, this isn't my car. This is a rental car. I just picked it up today. I go, so that's probably what you're smelling. I don't know what the fuck this smell is. It smells like air freshener.
yeah.
And he goes, could you step out of the car, please, so I can pat you down? So he has another cop he's training.
Okay.
So I have on I have a coat on that has a pocket here and a pocket here. I have my pot in this pocket. So he comes out and he's showing and he does this and he does this and but he doesn't check this.
Oh, nice. Oh God, as
So
lucky as you can
I'm just
get.
saying, I'm like this and I'm like, how am I going to get out? I'm going to prison. Do I call my dad? He's a cop in Chicago. Maybe I'll just call my brother. He's a lawyer, and he probably knows. And and he's like, all right, well, he didn't find it. I'm like, get the fuck, you fucking such a shit.
You had one job.
One job. You smell the pot. It's in my pocket. You can't find it.
God, you knew it the whole time.
Ah! But he checked this pocket because he knew there was a pocket here. Ah!
God, that's awesome. Oh, yes. That had to have been the best relief in the world.
Yeah, because I'd have had to be in jail. I would miss my shows.
Yeah.
And I've been in jail all weekend because the court's not till Monday.
Yeah.
So I'd have been it would have been just fucking miserable.
Well, and it took them till last year to finally legalize it in Illinois.
Yeah, now
correct?
it's totally.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember seeing posts from my family and friends in Iowa about like, well, just remember, just because you buy it in Illinois doesn't mean you can bring it back. There are still penalties in Iowa. So
Yeah.
but no, that's awesome.
And, my thing was when I would go out of the country, I would get sick. And I always thought, like, oh, something about traveling internationally. I get a cold on the plane or I get like a flu because I would get diarrhea and night sweats and I would get headaches. And so I always thought it was just when I travel, that's just when I travel internationally, that's just, I'm always sick. So I'm getting a tooth implant right here, right?
Okay.
So when they drilled the hole in my jaw to put the thing in, they give you the printout. They go, don't smoke, right? If you smoke, don't smoke for 4 days or whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to do it double. I'm not going to smoke for a week because I really don't want to fuck this up. I want this because I had one fall out once. I want to make sure it stays. And so I don't smoke for a week. I have every symptom I have when I go out of the country. And I realize it's because I'm doing marijuana withdrawal and it gives me fucking withdrawals.
Holy shit.
I get night sweats. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Because I wake up soaking wet. I have to change all my clothes, take the sheet off the bed. I mean, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Right? And then I go back to bed. Same thing. I wake up twice a night. I have to do it, right? And then I get, then I'm sick the whole next day because you don't sleep and you feel horrible and I get headaches and I have diarrhea.
God.
And it's because, and so now I'm worried about when I travel international. That's why I went to Hawaii instead of going to Italy or South America because I knew I could bring weed to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I'm going back in March again for another vacation because I can bring fucking weed because I can't go through that shit.
Oh, no. God, no.
So now I don't know what to do. I mean, maybe I'll bring edible, like a little candy or something. I'm thinking just to take the edge off,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's, my two main reasons for smoking are anxiety and weed. Anxiety and, for sleep at bedtime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's been the best thing I've ever taken to actually help me with any of it. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, real quick, while we got a tad
Sure.
bit of time left, let's do Trump or Mr. Burns.
Okay, sure. Let's do it.
Yeah, just simple game. I'm going to read a quote. You tell me if it's from Trump or Mr. Burns. So the first one: tiny children are not horses. One vaccine at a time, over time.
Trump.
That actually was, it was Donald Trump. All right. Next one is...
Because it sounds like something that he would say because he thinks it sounds smart.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Anytime you can throw the word vaccine and, yeah. All right. Well, young people are my future.
Mr. Burns.
Yep. All right. Next one. Why do I need another penny? I have billions. Still, if I don't take it, that hoodlum over there might.
Mr. Burns.
God. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to trip you up on any of these, but... All right, next one. He hasn't exactly had a positive impact on the thugs who are so happily and openly destroying Baltimore.
Trump.
Right. God, that wasn't even that long ago.
Right?
I'd look her right in her... I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers and say, "You're fired."
Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Rosie O'Donnell?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, that was probably one of his greatest Twitter feuds.
Yeah.
If not...
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, because they're both unlikable.
Yeah. But
Right? So you're rooting against both of them, and it's fun.
Yeah.
I think, anyway. I mean, I certainly don't condone his misogyny or what have you, and I certainly stay away from making fun of women's looks. But as far as derision, but I mean, Rosie O'Donnell's been a millionaire 10 times, you know, for her whole life, and seems like, and she's very powerful. So it's not like he's picking on somebody. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. He's punching his own weight in that regard.
That's right.
So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I didn't feel bad as a fat American. I did not feel bad for her one bit.
And I was I was fat American for a while. So I gave myself a little latitude to make those jokes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I was there. I experienced it. Like I
have to fight it. So we hired photographers now at our shows sometimes, right? Because for lots of reasons.
Sure.
But I kept telling the guy, you know, when you take pictures, we try to get it from the front, you know, the side. I get this fucking gut, you know. And then finally, last time I hired the photographer, I was like, God damn it, I look fat from the front. I gotta fucking lose weight. You can see my gut from the front. So I just stopped. I just started eating fruit at night. That's it. So after I eat dinner at 5 or whatever, I'll have whatever, and then I'll just eat. If I'm hungry after that, I just eat cantaloupe and watermelon.
Okay.
Yeah, and that seemed to help.
Yeah, it's not a bad way.
Instead
to
of
go
a fucking pizza, which is what I used to do.
Yeah, that's a bad habit. I still got to break. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I mean it's comforting. I love pizza.
Yeah.
You know, I miss it. And you know what's funny though? I was in Italy for 19 days 2 years ago. We went to Italy for 19 days. I'd never been on a European vacation. I'd been to do comedy, but never on a vacation. You know, and I ate whatever the fuck I want, including the pizza and all the pasta. But you walk so much in Italy. I didn't gain a pound. I ate whatever the fuck I wanted, but you walk so much. You never walk in LA. You never ever fucking walk.
No,
I take an elevator when I get to a place. You know what I mean? It's like you never walk.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Europe. People are walking.
Yeah, I was over there for 3 weeks in different countries, Germany, Ireland. Same thing. Yeah, walked to get everywhere.
Yeah.
Or took a bus or a train, but after you got off, you walked.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We could get into that kind of life. So I so wanted to fucking move to Italy when I went there. It's like, started trying to think out how can I do my show from here. Just wanted to live there. It's just so wonderful.
Yeah.
You ever been to Italy?
No, Italy I never got to.
Rome was nice, but it's a little, of course it's way too touristy. But
sure.
And the only reason it's too touristy is because there's just too many fucking people there, man. Everywhere you go, there's just a ton of people.
Yeah.
But I went to Sorrento and then Positano. It's like heaven. It was like fucking heaven, man. I loved it.
So smaller towns like
coastal on the coast.
Oh, nice.
The Amalfi Coast over there.
It smells like fucking weed in here.
Yeah, I wonder.
Goddamn hooligans.
Did you guys let it up in here?
No.
Did you?
Dave?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I was gone, so that had nothing to do with me.
No, we got through a little bit of the Trump and Mr. Burns, but yeah, we're breaking up the monotony of everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like how Doug Stanhope said, "Oh, I already solved this problem." You ever see that? You ever see his? Oh my God,
tell me.
It's so funny. So he'll be talking about an issue. He's like, "I already solved this on my last special. I told you what to do." He's right. The crazy. He's like, what we need to do is take one issue at a time. And the first issue is there's a lot of hungry people in a world full of food. And going back to Bill Hicks, he had a bit about that too. He's like, instead of launching bombs over there, we should be launching bananas.
We could surgically shoot it into people's throats. Yeah, I remember he did a bit like that. Yeah, and we could pay for it. Again, to end world hunger, we can. This stuff is doable.
Right, but we just choose not to. We choose to spend money on Space Force. We choose. And it's dumb donkey garbage. This isn't.
And it's just because someone's going to make money off it on the other end, and then they can then bribe that official to do their bidding, and that's it. And then they also own the media, which is why I have a show, right? Because people are so desperate for fucking actual honest news that they're going to come to a fucking jagoff nightclub comedian who's a self-professed dumb guy because they know I'm not lying.
So I got a question. So does that go in line with why you not support Alex Jones, but you support Alex Jones's right to free speech? Now, if I may, we've had a lot of questions geared towards you. One of them is about spitting on Alex Jones. Did you do that?
So what happened with Alex Jones was that we were covering the Republican National Convention in Cleveland, and they have a media row set up. And so we had a stage. YouTube had set up a stage for the Young Turks to do their show. And so Alex Jones was going around with a camera crew, and he was kind of crashing people's sets, whatever. And so he crashed the Young Turks set. I wasn't on the show at the time. I was sitting watching the show, having a coffee or whatever. And so he crashes the stage while they're live. So the way to handle that would be to turn off the cameras and go to a commercial or whatever you do and get security. But it started into a brouhaha. They started yelling at each other, and coats were flying, and everybody's screaming at each other. And then all of a sudden, there's like 1,000 people on the stage, and I was walking up to get close to the front, and I heard Alex Jones. Alex Jones is hilarious, and he said,
One way to put it.
He goes, "Hey, I'm trying to be nice," and it was so funny. I just, it was a spit take. It was involuntary, and it just happened to go right in his face, and. And then he goes, "Hey, that guy spit in my face," and that was it. The situation was over. He walked away.
So what happened was exactly what you said happened. It was a spit take, and he said what he said, and so people are pissy that you're defending
people
him.
People were saying that, oh, you spit in people's faces who don't agree with you. No, that's not what happened. He crashed our set, and we were trying to get him off the set. That's all. And
so if someone came in and crashed the Valley Boys right now, what would you do to them, dump truck?
Oh, well, it depends who they were,
and what they were doing. But if someone came, if someone did come in, you could physically throw them out of here. You would be in your right to do that.
Yeah,
I'm a spitter. Brandon is a drop kicker.
Dropper kicker.
Yeah. I can. I got a pretty centered gravity, so I can actually jump up pretty high for a fat guy.
But people, that's great. That's good. It's good. That'll come in handy. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're such a pussy," and I'm like, "Well, yes, I am a pussy, but that has anything to do with this." And yes, Alex Jones could crush me, right?
Oh, yeah.
And yes, no doubt about that. I mean, I not to get into it, but I have I went through like a bone disease thing, and so my bones are all fucked up. So if he punched me, it would literally shatter me, right?
Oh, wow.
So I can't take that chance. But I was in Austin. I was at a steakhouse, and I'm with my brother. Right? And he goes, "Jimmy, you're not going to believe this, but Alex Jones is sitting right behind. He just came in and sat down right behind you." I was like, "Oh my God, I got to get the fuck out of here. He's going to kill me." And he goes, he sat down, he shook the guy's hand 3 times. Like 3 different, like they shook, stopped, shook again, stopped, shook again. And I'm like, I don't know, it sounds like they're up to something, Tony. So luckily I was done eating.
Yeah.
I was already done eating. I go, so I'm going to get the fuck out of here. You watch. If he starts running, get up. If he starts coming at me. But he didn't. I don't know. It could have been we just crossed paths, hopefully. But then what happened was people wanted to take away his platform. And now, I could disagree with Alex Jones, but there's a lot more damaging material being broadcast every day than him.
Of course.
And it printed right in the Washington Post. Like, I don't know, like Saddam has weapons of mass destruction and somehow we should go kill hundreds of thousands of people over that. I don't think anybody killed hundreds of thousands of people because anything Alex Jones ever said. And by the way, if he ever said something like that, there's already remedies set up. He's being sued right now because of that shit he said about Sandy Hook.
I think rightfully so, to be honest.
And he stopped saying it because there's already a remedy in place called the fucking courts. That's
Fair
why.
enough.
All right.
Fair enough.
Yeah. That's how you do. If someone writes something libelous in the LA Times, you don't shut down the LA Times. You go to court. You get them to pay you fine, and they retract it. That's what happens. You don't take away their fucking right to publish.
So you're not defending Alex Jones. You're defending his right to publish. Speak.
That's right. His free speech right.
And that's. I think it's. I feel the same way about that because I come from we're comedians, and if you're a comedian, no matter what the fucking topic is, it's either all okay to talk about or none of it's okay. And if you're gonna start drawing lines in the sand, you're not allowed to talk about this, you're not allowed to talk about that. Pretty soon, you can't talk about anything without offending somebody. Well,
you can talk about everything. I mean, George Carlin said it's context that matters, right? It's like, how are you talking about it?
Well, and that's the thing. I'm not defending what Alex Jones said.
Correct.
And I'm not even. I gotta be honest, if YouTube wants to pull the plug on him, it's because he's going against their terms of use that he agreed to when he signed up to it, and they're allowed to say, we don't want this content on our site. It'd be like if they
are technically legally allowed to do that, just like the cops were technically legally allowed to do stop and frisk. But it does go against, I'm against censorship, whether it comes from, I'm from, the Enlightenment view of censorship, where it comes from the government, whether it comes from the church, or whether it comes from a corporation.
Okay. So you appreciate the fact that, yes, they have a right to do it, but a philosophical...
They have a legal right, but philosophically I'm against that. And
I can appreciate that. And that's fucked up, because I don't agree with what he's saying. And the fact that these Sandy Hook parents are suing him, I think that's...
And he stopped saying that as soon as they sued him.
Well, you know what his defense was? It's entertainment. He's providing entertainment. He's not trying to...
Right.
I mean, by proxy he is, because a lot of people follow that guy to the end of the earth. But I gotta say, you can't tell people what they can and can't say.
There are libel laws. All right, we have those in place. There is, and so again, there's a system that's been in place to handle this stuff. Now, all of a sudden, because Donald Trump became president, everybody's cool with censorship.
Yeah, that's a new thing. You're right. See, we've been around.
Yeah,
and this is a fucking brand new thing, and it's brought to us by what Brandon calls the regressive left. So you have the progressive left,
right,
which I like to think I'm on.
I like to think I'm on that too.
And then you have the regressive left, where you're making more problems than you're
the people who
solving.
I would call those the people who went after Joe Rogan after he endorsed Bernie Sanders.
Oh my God, yeah, we talked about that. What a bunch of shit that is. Are you I watch these people that I'm legit friends with online.
I know! That's what drives you nuts, right?
I don't want this. We don't want your door. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, so how much do you actually despise Donald Trump? Because if you reject Joe Rogan, a very prominent voice, and we talked about this. There was a tweet, I'm paraphrasing it here, but a guy said, I've worked in MMA gyms, I've done all this shit, and Joe Rogan is the guy kind of pulling these people away from the being far right. And because Joe Rogan is a voice of reason, I'm not trying to kiss his ass or kiss ring here. He's not going to hear this, so I can say it. But you listen to what he says. I believe he's more on the left than he's on the right. If we have money for bombs, we have money for schools. That's what he fucking said. That is a leftist belief.
Yes.
And
by the way,
you're going to take a shit on him because what? He made a shitty tweet fucking 10 years ago. He made a joke. It's in the context of comedy. And you don't have to think it's funny. I made a lot of dumb jokes too. And
Joe Rogan was tweeting out in 2012 that he enjoyed seeing two gay guys comfortable enough in public to kiss in public. He said that in 2012. That was a year before I think Barack Obama was for gay marriage. That was when Joy-Ann Reid, a host on MSNBC, was fucking gay bashing in her own blogs. And now she said that somehow they hacked her. They didn't hack. So again, they were just that is the identitarian left trying to make Joe Rogan out to be some kind of a fucking Nazi because he doesn't agree with them politically. He's actually for a guy who's going to upset their apple cart. He's for Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard. And you see how they treat Tulsi Gabbard and Bernie Sanders. They make him seem like, well, Chris Matthews says that Bernie Sanders wants to execute people in the park. Right? And they say that Tulsi Gabbard is a traitor to our country because she wants peace instead of war.
Right. She called out fucking Barack Obama for not following through on his campaign promise, so therefore she's a traitor. And that was based on my own fucking research. I was one of those people who thought, yeah, okay, Tulsi Gabbard is more on the right. And I did my own research, and she got a bad rep.
Of course.
That's stupid.
Right.
That's fucking profoundly stupid, and I fell for it.
And who told you about Tulsi Gabbard?
It doesn't matter.
I love that. I really
shitty Brandon. Yeah, Brandon and I disagree on virtually everything, but we also agree on everything. It's weird. It's a weird dichotomy, and that's why when people say, "Why are you talking to Joe Walsh? Why are you talking to Jimmy Dore? Why the fuck are you kidding me?" Discussion is the only way that you're going to see progression. If you want to shun people out for their beliefs, you're silencing them, and you're just going to create more resentment. Go fuck yourself.
I remember thinking Joe Rogan and Ari Shaffir were really right-wing guys, and there's no breaking through that stuff, and then here we are like 10 years later, and both of them are saying what you said. It's like, I think we could take care of the homeless people. I think we have enough food to feed the hungry. I think that, and then but in the establishment press, that makes you a crazy lefty. Right. So they're human beings. I think they care about other people in a rational way. Joe Rogan is very pro-gay rights. He's pro-trans rights. He was asked if a trans woman who used to be a man should be able to fight cis women. And he had to have an opinion upon that, right? And so,
but his opinion was right. I might add, as a progressive lefty, I gotta say, when you're talking about sports and athletic ability, you're talking about biology at that point. And you want to put a biological man who, identifies, all respect. If you want to identify as a woman, you want to piss in the women's washroom, who gives a fuck? But in sports, it's a little bit different because you are biologically a man.
So he
said he was talking about Fallon Fox. That's what you're referencing.
So what I told Joe is that that's a woman's issue. I'll let the women decide. That's why I don't weigh in, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Right, so that they can decide whether they wanted to fight against a man or not. It's up to them to decide. But he is a paid commentator out at MMA, so he has to have an opinion on it, and that's his opinion. And I don't think that makes him a fucking nut. That makes him a guy with a differing opinion.
And
than
he's
you.
not wrong. That's the crazy thing. He's not wrong about that. I don't think he's wrong.
Well, one girl broke her orbital socket.
Right. Yes.
During a fight.
Fallon Fox, right?
Yeah, Fallon Fox did. Yeah, easily could have killed her, and but that's the thing too. If you're a woman, you figure it's like, all right, well, I have an opportunity in a spotlight fight because, of this. So it's like, if I can win this fight or at least show well, it's good for my career. So they're willing to throw themselves out there for the payday, and the exposure. But
I used to I think a lot of comedians. I used to do transgender jokes up until about 2012, I guess.
Yeah, that was around the cutoff.
I didn't know. And I had fans that were transgendered, and they educated me. They would write me and go, "Hey, when you do that joke." That really, I remember I did some joke about being with this beautiful girl, then I felt her dick and punched her in the face or something, and it would get a laugh. And then someone would write me that's not. Then they explained to me, and I'm like, okay. And then and I'm like, oh, I didn't know about the violence towards. To me, before trans people looked like they were having the time of their fucking lives, man. And they just looked like they were just having a blast, right? Everybody wants to dress up pretty and play sexy games, and they're doing it all the time. I was jealous, but now I realize it's a real thing. I didn't know it was a real thing. Now I know it's a real thing.
But you became, what did you call that word? Educated?
Yeah.
You learned about it, and you understood it, and then...
Right.
And it's not to quote my own stand-up, I'm not going to go into my own bit about it, but the word tolerance, when you hear that, that's all they're asking for is tolerance. And when you hear that word, what does that even mean? If someone says, what'd you think of the shit shack? And you say, I tolerated it. It already implies you don't fucking like it. You just tolerate. You go along with it.
I'll put up
no
with
one's
it.
asking you to
support it.
To go all out with
boost
it.
it.
You just have to not give a shit.
Right.
And it takes more effort to go against something than it does to just not give a shit.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, whether it's gay rights, trans rights. And the ironic thing is, gays have been fighting the courts for decades. And the biggest thing that they have is our sexuality is not our identity. This has nothing to do with who we are as people. And now, the regressive left, as a lefty, I'm looking at the other lefties, it's become their identity because they'll say something like, I identify as gay because I like that better, but I only have sex with the opposite gender. And you'll see that kind of dumb shit. And you got to be like, all right.
Come on.
All right.
You can't do that. You can't identify as gay and then have sex with the opposite sex. Can you?
You can, though. That's the problem. That's the regressive left
So I
that we're
don't even
talking about. And
understand.
they're the ones dictating what the fuck you're supposed to say. I told somebody, if someone wants to be a man and they're a woman, I don't fucking care if they want. And they're like, hey, bigot. They're not. They don't want to be. They are. And I was like, well, okay, except like medically, no. I'm just saying, they're not. But by all intents and purposes, they are to me. If somebody wants to be called, back in the day in Winnipeg, we had a transgender comedian, and she wasn't fooling anybody.
Right.
And
she still had the male plumbing.
oh, 100%. And it was just a dude with long hair, basically, in a dress.
And how did they treat him? Her.
Garbage. And I was one of the...
They didn't treat them
No. And I was the only person that was like,
That's
hey,
not nice.
fuck the... And I'm not
good.
trying to toot my own horn. I'm not doing that here. But I said, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck?
Right.
And she was coming to my comedy night instead of the quote-unquote other guys on the other
Right.
side of the trade tracks. This is way back in the day,
Right.
you know? Because she was treated with respect. And one guy went on stage and was like, what the fuck is up with that he-she thing?
Come on.
But here's what she did. Because she was 6'3". You know,
Okay.
she turned around and she said, can I go punch him in the throat? That was drunk. I was like, yeah, okay. Fucking goes on stage, punches him in the throat.
Really?
But it's John MacArthur, the guy that was doing it, and he smoked crack and fucked a girl in the bathroom at my comedy night. That's the kind of guy he is. Anyways, so when it happened to him, it was like, okay, better.
Well, sometimes women throw themselves at you.
I didn't think he was going to do that.
Have you ever? You've never had a
If
woman
you have
throw
crack,
themselves?
if you have crack, yeah. In Winnipeg, dude, if you have crack, it's like driving a Rolls Royce.
No, but I just to get back to the topic, I think we all I know I do certainly support trans rights, and now I know better, so I do better. And I do feel badly that I did, if I ever did anything that contributed to someone feeling badly or getting, harassed or whatever. It's horrible. You don't choose your sexuality. Your sexuality chooses you, and you don't know why you like the things you do and all that, and so I just want that to be. Of course. I don't mind being annoyed by things like the pronoun game, right? Like, if that's what you want to play, that's fine. I mean, you get to do that because you have a harder life than me. But just let you know that.
We got a couple suits in here. Are we keeping you guys? All right.
Are we okay? We got to go?
No, we got a thumbs up. I think that means that we're good.
Okay.
It's funny. All the suits are wearing flannel shirts today. It's 90s day. They're all gonna do heroin.
Oh, is it? Okay. But when you make a guy like Joe Rogan, who is an ally, into an enemy, that doesn't help your cause.
Yes, exactly, 100%. And I'm watching these people that I'm friends with, or at least online friends with, prominent people, rejecting Joe Rogan's. And he's not even an endorsement. What did he do? He was in a separate interview, and he said, "Oh, I'll probably vote for Bernie Sanders," and they're rejecting that. Are you fucking kidding me? Because what? What did Joe Rogan ever say?
Because that's powerful, and it scares them. And when you're over the target is when you take the most flack. And so they're afraid that the people's candidate might actually fucking win this election, and then their money game is over. And so Joe Rogan, with the #1 show in America, so now Bill Maher...
By a landslide,
when
too.
I did
There's no competition.
No competition. When I did his show last time, the next guest in was Bill Maher. And you know what that means? And the whole time Bill Maher was there, he was begging Joe to come on his show. So you know what that means? That means that now HBO people with HBO shows are coming to YouTube to beg for viewers. That's what's 100%. Happening.
A year ago, dude, I asked Theo Vaughn, I said, hey, is Joe Rogan the new Johnny Carson?
Yes.
And he said, yes, bud. It's more like the new Oprah.
Yes.
You go...
Because you do 3 hours. Johnny Carson gave you 5 minutes. You get to go through 3 hours on Joe Rogan. People get to know you.
Yeah.
That you're having a real conversation that people, turns out, are fucking hungry
and
for.
Joe Rogan specifically picks people himself. He doesn't... Yes. There's no one that he... And he always picks great fucking people.
No pre-interview.
Andrew Santino. One of the... You know him?
No.
Fucking amazing comedian. Amazing dude. And how I know that is because he replies to texts. And he's a Rogan boy. And he's blowing up because he's going on Joe Rogan. Theo Vaughn, same thing. He blew up once he started going on Rogan. Everyone's like dupes in here but me.
Very helpful.
I don't want to do drugs because I have a future and hopes and dreams.
Well, and good for you. Yeah, everybody should. So one of my hopes and dreams. So when I moved out here a couple years ago, I told Dave, it's like, I got a list of people that I want to smoke with. And Mr. Jimmy Dore made it on that list. So, like, if I could just sit down and have a conversation with him. Yeah, man.
Yeah, he loves you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. I
love you too, Jimmy.
But yeah.
We're both big fans.
Thank you very much.
The fact that you agree to join us means a lot. It's such an act of charity. You'll probably get a tax receipt on your way out.
No, it's my pleasure, man. You guys seem fun, and you're on the right wavelength, right? So if I can, help elevate your show in any way I can, I would certainly like to do that.
We'd
No,
like to get
appreciate
you
that.
on again when Joe Walsh comes on, because I know him personally, and he's a fucking great dude. I can't speak of his
Okay.
policies. I don't like his policies.
Okay.
I can only speak of the man.
Well,
And it's funny. I as a joke, I call myself a presidential advisor, presidential candidate advisor, because he was gaining a lot of support with people in the middle once he started calling out Trump. But the problem is he started talking about the crazy gun shit. Like, everyone should get 1,000 guns. And I messaged him, and I was like, relax on that shit. You want to be the president. You already got support on the right. Back off on that shit. He's like, all right. And he did. I'm not going to call myself a presidential candidate advisor, but I also will because he listened to me. And he was on Sacha Baron Cohen's show by accident. You know about that? What was it called? Sasha's show?
LEG.
This
Oh,
is America.
yeah.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is America.
Oh, that was so funny. Did you see those shows?
Of course, and Joe Walsh was on it.
God.
He duped Joe Walsh into coming to Washington and saying, "We're so glad Israel is finally bringing guns to kindergartners," and Joe was saying he was so pissed off about that. He's like, "Look, man, they told me that they had this award for me. They flew me down. There was this whole ceremony, and at the end, they had me read off a teleprompter, and I read it. And I get it. He got duped, and he posted some crazy pissed off thing about it. I was like, hey, comedy, you got duped by the best. Let it go. Be funny about it. Be like, ha ha ha, he got me, and he did. And people backed off on him because they were like, he was saying shit like, fuck Sacha Baron Cohen. He tricked me. It's like, and I told him, yeah, he did.
So what? He tricked me.
Be thankful that
Got
you're
me.
a person on his radar.
Tip of the hat.
Yeah.
Tip of the hat. Good job. You got me.
But also, reevaluate your own stances on shit. Joe's a great dude. I'm not trying to shit on him.
Okay.
But his policies are fucking crazy.
Ha ha. Yeah, I agree.
But
I agree.
Isn't that wild though? That's what's gonna.
My mother-in-law is a
Fix it.
100% Mexican who voted for Trump. And I love her.
Same with his brother-in-law.
And I fucking
Yeah.
love her. She's the greatest. She's teaching me how to play piano. I go to church because she asks me to. I don't like church, but I like her.
Yeah, and I've done that
He didn't
before for
burst into
people.
flames like
And I didn't
thought
burst
would.
into flames. And there's all nice people there, and they're all trying to find answers. Everyone's hurting.
Yeah.
Everyone's in pain. Everyone's trying to find an answer. And so, it's crazy how, the silver lining of a Donald Trump presidency is that it's really opened me up to the other half of the country. And
That's how I feel too. Like Steven's parents, those are my daughter's grandparents. They voted for Trump. They love Trump. And I try to do something that nobody else does, which is listen to them.
yeah.
Because they're telling me about immigrants and how they do this and that. I was like, all right, you realize
I try to tell people.
I'm an immigrant.
I try to tell people that, if you're pissed off that an immigrant took your job, immigrant didn't take your job. A capitalist took your
No
job
shit.
and gave it to someone else so he could exploit more than you.
Yep.
And they get pissed off at the immigrant instead of the person doing
That's
that.
right.
Yeah,
How
just
fucked
like
up is that?
That's right.
yeah, just like my hometown of Marshalltown, like we were talking about, before the podcast. The Hispanic population went up to about like 25% over the course of like 25, 30 years, and it's because the companies there busted the unions out and brought in cheaper labor that they could exploit.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
That's
And I feel like everyone gives me a pass because I'm Canadian.
and
And they say the same fucking shit. Like one guy where I work, major network I won't say on here because Dave Weasel has to be kept separate from. But he was like, fucking immigrants. And I was like, I'm an immigrant. Why are you bitching about immigrants to an immigrant? He's like, but you're Canadian.
why is that
And it's
okay?
like that you're fucking racist because I had to
You're
go, I have to go
racist.
through the same fucking thing. And I thought, oh my god, I can't believe I had to hear that. Except I keep hearing that. Oh, you're Canadian. It's different. It's different. It's different. It's different. In the eyes of the law, it is not fucking
wow.
different. And
Do you say this on stage? You should say this on stage.
Problem is, when I start getting into political shit on stage, as soon as I get off, people are like, "Oh, don't talk about politics." Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's the way I do it. I guess.
Yeah, you'll find a way to.
Wait,
you gotta speak your truth. I mean, and I'm not kidding. I mean, that's, those are the thoughts that are most unique to you, and that's what's going to make you stand out. I think. I mean, that's my advice anyway, and that's what certainly did it for me. And
Well, let's do a show together, and then we'll exchange notes. I get pissed off when I hear that because that's straight up racist.
That is.
And the ironic thing is, in the eyes of the government, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a shit that I have a child here. Both of my grandfathers are American. That's the crazy thing. They both fucked off to Canada. One of them was a World War II veteran. And there are people that are like, fuck immigrants, fuck you too, Canada. And it's like, okay, go and dig up my dead grandfather who was a prisoner of war in World War II and tell him, your fucking grandkid can't fucking be here. And it's not just me. They're all like that. You have a problem with immigrants, you're a piece of shit, straight up, because you're a fucking immigrant too. Unless you're a straight Blackfoot Indian, you're an immigrant too. All of us come from something. Like if my daughter, born in America, raised here, if she were to start talking shit about immigrants, I'd be like, you shut your fucking mouth. You're a goddamn Canadian.
Yeah, I mean, it's about time the workers of the world united. They've talked about this so like all these trade deals.
Yeah, but that's biblical too, though.
Yeah, I mean, but we have to have, I mean, people are seeing that capitalism is turning out like Marx said. It's eating itself, and there's a concentration of wealth, and it's based on scarcity, and so. Again, all Bernie Sanders is asking for is to somehow try to soften the brutalities inherent in a capitalist, quote-unquote, free market. There's no such thing as a free market also, you know that, right? Markets are invented by dudes who have shit to sell, and they want to protect themselves.
Yeah, but that's why we have overinflated medical prices, because of the quote-unquote free market.
That's right.
Oh, it's the free market. We can do this.
Free about it.
Okay, so what about the fucking school system? Oh, that's not part of the free market? Oh, well, that's a basic essential need. But yeah, I'm agreeing with you.
Yes, I got you. I know, I'm with you. So, but anyway, I gotta have to hit it. Is that okay?
We'll wrap this up.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
We're done here.
Okay, just real quick, prediction for the New Hampshire primary tonight. Who you got, and what percentage of the vote?
So, okay, I'm just gonna make it's gonna be Bernie, and it still looks like, and Buttigieg, because the media is propping him up like crazy.
Sure.
I say Bernie will win, and the media will say Buttigieg did somehow.
All right, fair enough.
Okay.
And
I saw a fucking excellent tweet about that. Like, Bernie is proof that the media is not run by Jews.
No, Jews can hate other Jews too, but
Oh yeah, that's a whole thing.
but it's just run by billionaires. That's all.
Right on. So Jimmy, where are you performing next?
So we have when is this going to drop?
Thursday.
Oh, okay. So we have a live show I just added in Burbank, California, on the 28th of February. That's a Friday. So that's the Friday before the primary. The primary is on March 3rd in California. So the Friday before, we're in Burbank doing a live Jimmy Dore show at the Flappers Comedy Club.
Oh, Flappers, I'm banned from there, but cool.
Are you?
Yeah.
Come on, what'd you do?
Drinking outside beer.
You brought outside beer in?
Yeah, but I was banned and then unbanned, just like the corporate gig.
Oh, so you got unbanned?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm still on their website. So.
Oh, that's nice. Dave, he's a nice guy who runs that place, right?
I've never met that person, but the.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Oh, so then I'm going to. We're going up to Sacramento and then San Jose, but those shows are already sold out. And then we're going to Miami. I think there's some tickets left in Miami. And,
what day?
May 1st. Oh, Minneapolis. We just added. No. That's May 1st. Minneapolis is May 1st. March 1st is Miami. So anyway, let's go to jimmydorecomedy.com, and there's all our shows, and we're gonna be adding a lot more. But thanks for having me on, and
don't forget to get Your Country Is Just Not
That
Into You by Jimmy Dore.
So now that book was written in 2014. Now I've come a long way. It's still very funny. And it makes fun of the news and stupid shit people say on the news. But, that was pre-Trump. And, so I just want everyone to know that. But thank you very much.
Excellent point.
Thanks for plugging that.
If you're from Winnipeg, you got to make the trip down to Minneapolis to see Jimmy Dore. A lot of our audience is from Winnipeg, which is just north of Minneapolis.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they're always looking for an excuse to go. So here you have it.
No,
Jimmy Dore.
I actually did. Can I tell you before we leave? I did the first time I was doing the Montreal Comedy Festival.
Just for laughs?
Yeah, my agent got me 2 weeks in the Saskatchewan province doing one-nighters because he thought it would get me ready to do a Canadian audience.
Oh, shit. That'd be like going to Alabama.
Right,
And
to get ready to go do the LA Comedy
right.
Festival. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. I literally played towns with that's 300 people in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Turtleford. I was at a place called Turtleford.
Turtleford. Wow.
I was and I would get there, and the people would say stuff like, "Oh, you think some hot shot from the big city?" I'm like, the road I came in on goes the other fucking way. You can get out of here. You don't have to stay here. It was something, man.
Did you ever go to Yorkton, Saskatchewan?
Probably.
I barfed in a graveyard there.
Oh, really? I went. We were in. What was the joke I would tell? Because we flew into Regina, and I tried to play all these towns in Saskatchewan province that's rhymed with the female what is it?
Genitalia.
Genitalia. So I did Regina, Melvina, and Lund. You know that joke. Anyway, come on. You know that
like
joke. You know that joke. You've all told that joke. Anyway,
I like it.
but I did fly into Regina and do the casino there.
Oh, okay. And it was.
And I was like, oh, it's going to be all right. This won't be bad. Fucking Saskatchewan. This won't be so bad. It's a casino. Right? And then, no, that was all downhill from there. We were in parts of the fucking place that stayed light 20 hours a day.
God.
That's how, it was that kind of shit.
Yeah, it's you don't realize how far north you are. Like, even 90% of Canadians live 100 miles of the American border.
Ah, really?
Yeah. And I graduated high school way the fuck up in the north.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was the only white guy at my school. Everybody else was Aboriginal. And
No kidding?
yeah, that's how it went. And it was
And you
a
didn't write
residential
a fucking movie
school.
about that?
No, because I just kept my damn mouth shut. My dad was the cop, busting
Really?
everybody.
Of course, to get a white cop.
Yeah.
Fucking course.
All right, thank you so much for listening. We are the Valley Boys. We got Jimmy Dore. We'll have him back on again, hopefully, when
Yeah, it was
Joe
a
Walsh
pleasure.
comes
I'd love
down.
to come back on.
What a phenomenal
This
character.
would be great. I'll have a shot next time.
Man, yeah, he's going to have a shot. Why did you take an Uber? We offered you an Uber like 3 times.
Oh, okay. You want to give me an Uber?
Yeah, take an Uber next time.
Okay.
We'll pay for it.
I mean, I did take an Uber.
Okay, we got your Uber back.
Okay, good.
All right, so Brandon Collins, unfortunately, is also with us. But thank you so much for listening. We are the Valley Boys. Peace out.
Fuck you, Dave.
Ha! Hey, guess who has a show at RT now?
Who's that?
Dennis Miller is taking over.